and all. Yes.
Now
Ah,
here's my new ones. Hold on, let me wipe the sweat from my head here.
We're gonna start
Oh,
calling you Sweaty Sue from now on.
huh? Sweaty Sue. That's good. How you feeling?
I'm all
Here's
right.
my
I'm
new
all right. All right.
Here's my
ah,
new
Feels different,
glasses.
so, but
Can you see
ah,
them?
at least
ah,
you're not
ah.
going
They're
all
like
squinty and
clear and black.
yeah, very good.
Huh?
Can you see from back
Shouldn't
there?
have. Yeah, I should be able to.
But you
These
can't.
are
Yeah.
just for the computer. Yeah,
Right.
they're just
But
for the computer. Yep, right from
so
here.
you can read
Mm-hmm.
from there.
Yep.
All
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, then they work. Then they work. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't have to lean in. You know, that's the key.
Yeah, exactly. Or go like this, like I was doing before. Yeah, no, they work much better. So you feel back to yourself, Sil. That
Not
was
100% yet.
no.
But yeah, it's at least it's better though. At least I'm in
Yeah.
functional mode more or less.
Oh my
But yeah,
God.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I
Jeez.
still have swelling and stuff. So
Do you? Do
my
you?
stomach
You
is
drinking
messed up.
lots
I
of,
don't know. I feel full all the time, and I hardly eat. So
huh?
when I eat, I don't feel
Wow.
more full. I don't know. Who knows?
Interesting. Are you getting enough? Definitely getting enough liquids in you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. No
Yeah.
more or
Because
less
if
than
all you're
usual.
doing all that sweating and
Yeah,
fever,
yeah.
your
No, I do much.
electrolytes are off.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Bananas,
I have to go slow.
avocados.
No,
Chocolate almond milk is really good for your electrolyte balance.
no, that's the thing. I
You
don't
know.
have. I have milk, which I
Now,
do.
now you are talking tasty.
Yeah.
Now you're talking tasty.
In South
That's
Africa,
right.
they sell chocolate milk in like little one drink size, like little plastic bottles, but they just one drink, thing. That's it.
Yeah.
Portion, and of course, all the portions
Mhm.
there are small. When people from elsewhere in the world come to America and they get the options for the small for like in Starbucks or whatever, that's a large everywhere else in the world.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
astonishing. And when you see those supersized things you get at the fast food things, think how on earth
Oh,
can anybody possibly drink that much soda? It just blows
oh,
people's minds,
it's it's disgusting. It is the
Yes.
big
It's
gulp. The
astonishing.
big gulp. It's really disgusting.
It's
Yeah.
it's anyway. So it really freaks people out when they see this when they come from elsewhere. So I mean
Yeah.
that what really the point where I'm going with this is with the chocolate milk. They were all in just one drink sizes and that's it. But you come here
Yeah.
and you can buy a gallon Beena, a gallon of chocolate milk.
Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Oh
a
my
gallon of
God.
milk, you can buy it.
Mm.
'Cause, but I mean, for families and that, it makes sense. It's not a greed thing, but it's just like, wow, you can get a gallon
And
of chocolate milk. Hey,
and the teenager will take that big gallon. I've seen them drink from the gallon.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
wow.
oh,
Yeah,
oh, no.
Americans'
I mean,
Oh
ability to
my God.
consume food is off the charts. It's incredible. It's amazing.
yeah.
Amazing.
The when our French friends were here, they would die. Like the amount of food we serve as a serving is to them is disgusting. And buffets. I mean, he said, no wonder America looks like they do.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
this is the thing too. When we come, we staring at people because in South Africa, you might see you walk to the supermarket, maybe not. You see an obese person, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the exception.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe you don't
Yeah.
see one. It's just like wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But then
It's
we
crazy.
speculated on it, and we said it's also got to do a bit
Uh-huh.
with the farming. Because the farming is so automated and so big
Yeah.
industrial, you don't get the same
Ah.
experience. And we could taste it in the food. We could taste that the food was lacking nourishment and substance, and you have to eat more to get the same. We noticed that, and
It's all chemical.
you know,
Yeah, it's chemically engineered. Even my grandparents, the soil is so different from all the,
makes sense.
hormones and growth things and make things bigger and better and fatter and more and more and more. That it's absolutely not the same food. We call it Franken wheat,
Yeah,
because it's like Frankenstein, how
yeah,
they have altered it so much.
yeah,
And that's why years
Ah.
ago, people who had problem with wheat, who had celiac disease in our, 2 generations ago. It's the change in the wheat and the corn, and it's just absolutely wrecking our
Food is
systems. And
hollow. That's what we felt. The food is hollow,
Yeah,
It's got
yeah.
no-
It really, you're right. It's lacking. You can't taste the nourishment. I mean, look at the difference if you grow your own in decent soil, even a piece of broccoli, the difference of that broccoli versus the broccoli you buy in the store. Some of it lacks taste completely. Yeah, it's awful. It's awful. And then the food, the amount of money you pay for, it's ridiculous, But so. And then we can save the world. No,
There you
I
go.
didn't.
And the other thing here is that food is ridiculously cheap in America. It is. I mean, people in America
Cheap.
don't think so. Oh, yeah. Oh, relative to other places.
Wow.
It is absurdly cheap. It is beyond ridiculously inexpensive.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No
Isn't that
kidding.
amazing? Yeah, in the impression. So, food is,
But
as a
but not
percentage
the
of
natural food,
your
not the
wage.
organic.
Right. Even that's been as a percentage of your salary. How much you spend on food? Oh, it's not even close here. Not even close. Much more.
Yeah, much more.
So, it's not that the food itself is expensive in exchange rate terms. It's expensive relative to what you earn. So,
Yeah. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
My uncle's family, they live in Houston, and the children born there. When they come to Pakistan, they were eating bread, plain bread slices,
Yeah.
like they are having something like a treat or something. And I asked them, what's going on? They says, Ani, you don't know, like really, Beena, you don't know that what it tastes like. Because
Yeah.
in America, we never had this
No.
tasty bread. Now, like, really? It's a normal bakery bread, you guys are. And they said, no, never
You
had
look at
that taste.
Yeah. You look at the packages here, enriched, fortified, because they do so much to refine the products in them. They have to replace what's stripped out of them. So that's why it never tastes. I mean, even French bread, when we go to France, I don't eat bread here because I just don't enjoy it. It lacks, but there, the baguette, I don't hold back on bread when I go to France either, so it's probably the same thing they notice when they come to India.
But the same is in Saudi Arabia also. Same in Saudi Arabia.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
they don't grow their own crops and they have nothing actually, so, except dates and figs. So everything else is same like America. People say that even the fruits and vegetables, everything is tasteless. It's like eating a sponge. Yeah. In Saudi also.
Eating a sponge. Same. Yum. Yeah. That's a good analogy, eating a sponge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Beena, you had something you wanted to ask Sue, I thought, before we go?
Yes. I'm so excited. Okay, Sue. So, first, congrats on your first Zoom session with Kyla. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys see? Did you just watch it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
We didn't get to watch all of it, but we watched it.
But because it's a long session, of course.
Yeah.
And it takes a time to upload and all this, but still we have watched a lot. So for the first thing first, what you are feeling about your Zoom session?
It's funny because that's how I was going to start. I wanted to tell you because I didn't know if you did it or not. And I said, I want to make a couple disclaimers here before you, in case you hadn't. There's a piece of me that feels it's exciting to be able to do the Zoom component, and it just feels like super professional, being able to do that and record it. I have not played it back. But what I do think I did was a little too much talking, but then I justified that a little bit with it's so early on in the program. There's still things to explain a bit, and share. But I don't think I had enough patience in waiting for her to respond. It was like, come on, come on, come on. And then like I know one time I said, let me make it easy for you. You know, and I'm like, what did I just do? What did I just do? I gave you the answer, you know, but it was nothing that was super, I don't think it was super critical, but in that moment, and as I got off of Zoom, I go, Sue, where was your patience? Why couldn't you let her figure it out herself, you know? But there was an interesting part where she was getting flustered at the end.
Oh.
And I noticed it, and it was almost like there was a part in that last session she did, module 2, session 2, where you're supposed to ask yourself, you know, what am I aware of at this moment? How can I change my perspective? You know, all those things just to trigger your awareness if you want to shift something, you know. Well, somehow she must have missed the part where it said, look at all of these, see which one resonates with you. So before she comes on, the day or two before it, I go over all the modules that she's going to do, and I make just really basic points that need to be brought up, or hope that she gets in there. And if she doesn't, we bring them up, you know, as they're, you know, especially the ones in a case that are very pertinent and relevant to her. So, what was I going to say? And she missed that, you know, that asking that question. And every time I said to her, so there's one of the question was, what routines can you, or habits can you break right now? And like she started to get all kind of beside herself. And I didn't want that anxiety. For a split second, I thought we were going to Rachel, you know, but not to that extreme. Like, I'm getting all, you know, she didn't, you could just tell that she was a little bit under pressure there to answer them. And I said, no. So I kind of backed it up and I said, listen, no, let's not get upset. You know what I mean? It's no big deal. I said, what I would like you to do is to go back. I said, and sit by yourself and look at these things, because they're great triggers for you, for your help in applying change. You know, if you're not aware of something, then how do you know what to do to shift it? So first you become aware of it, which I think she is, but it's, you know, how do I change that? So a lot of those catchphrases there are great. I said, see which one works for you the best. Maybe there's a couple, and keep them in your back pocket. I said, and use those, and that'll help you shift and navigate and get a different perspective. So you shift your perspective on things, you know. So that was the only part that kind of bothered me. And you know, when I was asking her, that was when I was asking a really simple, like the obvious question, and she wasn't getting it. So I kind of prompted her, and I shouldn't have. And I realized that. I said, bad. The teachers are going to yell at you soon. No.
No. How can we do that? It was your first Zoom session.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of, okay, not really, but it's a kind of subtle pressure that, oh, it's the first thing, it needs to be in that way. So it's a kind of this, we had some idea like, oh, it needs to be in that way. Oh, so it happens. So it's all good.
Yeah. And she also, I mean, I really love doing it via Zoom. I really do. There's just so many pluses, you know, behind it, you know. Again, should I need to go back and look at something, just that whole recording component, you know, I don't know what happened. You know,
watch the recording, absolutely, and take notes.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I just haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. But yeah, and then at the end of her sessions, and this stops me, the Zoom, I started to take a bunch of notes, and I thought, why the hell? Because it was just so, I thought, why am I doing this? I could listen back to the Zoom thing.
Exactly.
But I am making notes for her for each session, and I put them in red so I don't miss them, of things that she struggled with, and follow-up things like I gave her in the very beginning, that independence task. I thought, you know what? let me ask her, what part of the independence is she already doing? I don't want to have her do her own laundry here or do dinner and stuff if she's already kind of doing that at home. That'd be silly. So that's why I asked her in the beginning, what are you doing in the arena of independence? Because you said that's what you wanted, more to be more independent. I said, and her answer was, I'm sure you listened that because this was in the beginning, about money. She wants to learn how to be more independent with money and how to handle it. And her boyfriend, Carson, is, his major is in finance. So he said he would help and teach me. And my mom, I said, this would be a great thing for you and your mom together. Let her write you or show you how a budget is done. And then you follow. I said, I don't care if you play with Monopoly money, or let her send you to the store. This is how much money you have, or whatever. I said, do you have your own checkbook? Do you this? Do you that? And, she shared some of her finance things. Her Aunt Vicky, which is her mom's sister, is a big lawyer in Lancaster area, and she loaned her money for school.
Yeah.
Because Kelly, her mom, doesn't make nearly obviously what her sister makes, and her sister's always been very, very good to her. And she pays her, I think it's $700 a month.
Yeah. She said 500 and 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm glad to hear that she, has that, she's taking responsibility, And then did you hear the part about the coworker that asked her out to lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, there, I got all excited, you know what I mean? And I was kind of navigating her a little more than what I should have. And she actually did it herself. I'm like, good. I really know, I'm good at emphasizing, because I know now what her issues that she wants to pay attention to, because we asked, what are your intents? Otherwise, we're guessing and we're assuming that this is what she wants to do, or whatever. And it's just, they're obvious helpful tools for us as facilitators, but they make all the difference in the world. And again, they're time managers, because why waste your time on something that you think they need when they really want something else, So I
Just to have more clarity. Sorry, Sue.
Go ahead.
Just want to have a clarity. Did she said that in exact word that she wants to learn the finances?
Yes, she wants to learn more about finance and more about money. Her word was money. She had to learn more how to handle money better, And I said, do you have a checkbook? Yes, she has a checkbook, because her and her boyfriend want to move out together next year. And I said, hey, that'll be, you're going to have to, but, get your ducks in a row ahead of time, type of a thing. But from what you've heard, I mean, how long were you on it? 20 minutes or an hour or 15 minutes? How long did you listen
about
in?
About a quarter, I think, and then listened a bit at the end. So, yeah.
Okay.
But I'll wait to give feedback until you've watched it.
Until what?
Until you've had a chance to watch yourself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be huge, because then it's fresh, you see. Yeah. So it's very important to keep it pure. Very important to keep it pure. So, to watch these yourself is very, very useful, very important, and very useful, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I certainly know.
But
yeah. No, it's fine. And I thought about doing that. I just ran out of time yesterday. But what was I going to say? That's why I said it's such a great tool, And again, all this stuff is coming in, all these new concepts to me, not concepts, but different ways of doing it. And I'm like, whoa, I think I'm still stuck on my old stuff there a little bit. So, I'll need more emphasis on that.
Practice and self-proof.
Yeah.
Self-proof is very important.
Yeah.
And
I think the biggest thing for
the mindset of what it is that you're trying to do. This is important. So, So when you
Mhm.
look at
Yeah.
the Zoom, ask yourself, what is my intent here? What am I trying to achieve? What is my objective? And then what is the objective
Mhm.
in the relationship with the client? You know, yeah, yeah. Are you sharing information, or are you enabling her to acquire tools of learning? Are you sharing solutions or problem
Yeah.
solving methodologies, ways of
I
thinking
would.
rather than answers? Big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's my intent in my head. And I keep saying to her that, but there's so many tools that she's going to be learning and they're showing up, So I'm like, okay, we're going to get to that. You're going to get to the habit. You're going to get to the immersion bubble. You know what I mean? And I don't want to give it away, but I want to make
I
comments
know,
about it. And
I know. It takes a lot of patience in the beginning to just kind of
oh,
let stuff happen, because you're in a different space. So yeah, it takes inordinate patience and forbearance
yeah,
too.
yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
You're the king of
don't
forbearance.
focus on
Yeah.
the, at least what's helpful is not to focus on the problem solving, but to get the person into a space. That's the thing. Ask, are they in a space where they are figuring stuff out, where they are listening to themselves, where they are getting to share the problem, and through the sharing, getting to hear themselves as to what's going on. It's like, I didn't think about it before, but now that I'm talking about it, now I realize it. That's what we're after,
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. To get
Yeah.
them into that space of learning and thinking and growing and figuring it out, where you just sit back and, wow, yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, I think part of it, Silambita, is my I'm so task oriented. You know what I mean? And
I
goal
know,
oriented.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Shift your goal. Your goal here is to get Kyla into a space, and that's, I'm not even saying exactly what that space is. When you watch, you're going to see, what space do I want to get her into? Where do I want her to be, not where I want to be? Yeah, and what do
Mm,
I need to do to get her? She's the one who's got to be sharing, doing, thinking, figuring out, considering. So yeah,
hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
What are we encouraging? What are we encouraging?
What's that?
That's a question to write
Say that
down.
again.
What am I encouraging?
Oh,
What am I
what am I
encouraging? Yeah,
encouraging?
yeah, yeah. We want to pay
I mean,
particular emphasis to
in my
what
head, I
you
want to
encourage.
encourage her to do it herself. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
What's that?
yeah. Right. Yes, but saying that is a different thing to the actuality of what happens when we
Yeah.
interact. You
Yeah.
see. So is my mic very soft?
Right.
You see.
You're just you're in slow motion. All your movements and your
Oh,
mouth doesn't match
all
up
right.
with your
There we
words.
go. Okay, okay. We just got some lag then. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Very interesting.
Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I
minimizing
mean,
windows. So yeah, I
yeah.
don't be harsh on yourself. Like Beena was saying, it's early days. We learn, we practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad, I'm just excited about it, but I know
Oh
that,
yeah, be very
certainly
excited. Be very excited. So,
there's
uh,
room for improvement. It certainly wasn't,
He,
you think you know
no,
everything, but
yes,
also, I don't know how long she's going to or can commit to it, you
mm,
know,
mm, mm,
and that kind of like, there's so much to do, and I think that's why, I feel that I'm not pushing her along, but like I wanted to finish those modules that she did,
gotcha.
so I said, listen, do
Yeah.
you have extra time we can go over? I could see that it wasn't that huge of information there. It was a massive just
Mm,
concept there.
mm,
And she said, sure, I'm okay with time. My mom's not home, won't be home till 2 o'clock. So we went an extra half hour, and I didn't charge the mother. And I did that last time too. But
oh, good.
probably if I would have not spoken to her to what's pertinent and relevant, we would have had time. But I'm like, no, that is more important, that she talk about what happened for her week, you know, anything new, anything come up. You know, I asked her, you know, so, you know, how do you feel, you know, changes that you're making, you know, what are they, you know? So I'm trying to ask more questions, and I think that's another thing that I need a little more work on. I'm I feel like I can come up with some, but I need to, I think, ask more and shut my mouth.
Yeah.
You know.
And also, it's when we ask a question, uh, the communication to the client as to, you know, what's going on with us, the implication involved. So if we're asking a question, it's not for the information, but just to open the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different question. You can
Right.
ask a question where you get a yes, no, and you can ask 1,000 questions and get nowhere. But you know, when you ask, it's by implication. When I'm asking a question, is and I want to hear the rest. You know, I'm just getting you going. I'm just using this to stimulate you.
Right.
It's not for specific information. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, too, you know, when I said what are we looking to encourage, we are also looking to create a mood and a climate, right? Where the client
Mm-hmm.
feels eager, feels excited, feels heard. When they feel heard, then they are eager and keen to share. And we want to get them where they are this gusher and they just going like crazy. Yeah, that takes a little
Mm-hmm.
work sometimes to get them feeling comfortable about it. And you maybe got to keep prompting. Okay, what happened next? What happened next? But yeah, get the full story,
Mm-hmm.
get the full story, and then say, oh, and then what happened? And yeah, this is very
Mm-hmm.
important. Yeah, yeah. So that they feel
Yeah.
excited about sharing, you know, because that's the
Yeah.
key. That when they start sharing like that, they share more than what they thought there was to share. They don't realize what all comes out, you know, and that's what we're after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That they continue to share. Yeah. I was so, I guess, pleasantly surprised in the fact of that issue with her coworker who asked her out, who clearly likes her, and she has a boyfriend and didn't say it, you know, but she was able to. And this is a part of her issue, is being so introverted and not expressing herself when she really needs to, you know. So her doing that on her own was great, you know, and that, you know, deserved all the applaud and emphasis, you know,
Yeah.
because it let her stand in her own self, you know. You know, be clear, have an intent. You know, she goes, "Oh, I don't know, you know, about being forward." You know, I said, you know, using those words like, well, what's your intent here? What's your intent with me? What's your intent with the world? You know, and she just thought that was, it was too hard for her to say that word, intent, that she was being too forward. I said, it really isn't too forward. I said, but you know, if you just say, hey, what's going on here? What are you thinking? If you need to change those words around that fit you better, then you certainly can do
Um,
that, you
yeah.
know.
And also, yes, I mean, you can ask in a relationship, you know, starting, you can certainly ask what the intent is, but before you ask somebody else, you know, ask it of yourself. Ask yourself what you feel the person's intent is, right? So
Mm,
that's the key thing here, because well, if like most guys, if their intent is just to get straight into bed, they're not going to say it.
yeah.
See, so they're just going to
Yeah.
tell you whatever you want to hear. You have to trust your own ability to read intent, and that's only going to happen if you ask the question. Most don't ask the question, so they never get the answer. So that whole point with
Mm-hmm.
the intent was to kind of trigger your own deeper sensibility and shift you out of the bubble of just going step by step to look at the bigger picture, so that you don't get sucked into things. So asking what's the intent here, that asks the universe what's the overall intent. Okay, learning and growing is always the intent. I have my intent. Well, if I asked my intent, why am I agreeing to go on this thing in the first place? She could see her own intent. What's my intent really? She might not have gone had she asked that question in the very first place, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
she's, well, I've got a
Yeah.
boyfriend. Am I wanting to go on a date? I'm not sure if this is a date, so then she could have been more clear, right? And her intent would have shown to him, and he might not have acted as if it's on a date once he saw her. Her intent was very clear, that she's just there to be polite and friendly. See, so but then she could see if she'd asked the question for herself, what is his intent? it was pretty clear and obvious that he was on a date, no?
Yeah.
So that
And
thing
again,
with the
I think
intent
you're
is not
right.
to ask them, it's to ask
She
yourself and ask the
questioned it,
universe.
but yeah, she didn't really do anything else about it. She didn't go any deeper with it. You know, like it
Yeah.
was like that head turning. You know, like really, and you know, try to explain. There are the times that you want to stop. You
Yeah.
know, when think like, what's happening here?
What's going
What's
on
going
here?
on?
Exactly. So it's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
awareness, a practice, an awareness habit here. Yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
so you know, certainly in a relationship, you can ask somebody directly what their intent is. But you know, when you've already got an established relationship and there's some trust, but other than that, you've got to ask yourself, you know, what's the intent, and ask it of the
True, true. But even though she knew him, but it was a coworker, you know, what's your intent to ask him? Oh, I want to share a meal with somebody. He could have said,
universe.
or he could say, I
Right.
really
But
like
again,
you.
you know, he's going
You
to say whatever he thinks is appropriate. So you got to ask it yourself of overally. So it's just that check mechanism. Does he want a date? Is he looking for a relationship? Is he looking to get married? Is he looking to just go to bed? What? He's not going to say that necessarily. He might. You might find the rare person to say, "Look, you know, I thought I like you. You're cool, and okay, you know, I'm just looking for a booty call." Some guys are
Mhm.
like that. He didn't sound like that type of coworker, you know, from the way he asked the question, he didn't sound like he had that directness and openness to him. That's rare. You get very few people who can do that, but it does happen. But more, it is for you to divine their intent by asking it as an overall question of the universe and of yourself. You know, you asking yourself what's their intent, to set yourself into
Mhm.
that mode of actually perceiving it. Because we just assume people will perceive intent, but they don't, because they don't ask the question. Internally, they don't ask the question. So they miss it.
Right.
They miss it. Now, when they replay the movie back afterwards, and then you ask them, oh, what? Oh, and now they can picture the person in their mind. And they, it was so obvious, but I missed it because I never asked. So this is why
Right.
I do that. Just an awareness practice, awareness issue. Yeah, yeah. Very exciting. Very
Wow.
exciting.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
And when is she
Um,
coming again?
this Saturday again.
This Saturday.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
I don't know what to do the following week. I'll be away in Cape Cod.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
and
you
I
just
don't know.
have to skip, I guess. You
I mean,
know, some other time.
yeah, I'll see what she says. I'm going with a girlfriend up there for like 5 days, Friday through Wednesday. And if she doesn't care, you know, maybe I'll just say, you know, give me a couple hours. You know, I need to do some work here. You know, I think she'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
you
sure.
know, we're
Why
going to be
wouldn't
in.
she be? Why wouldn't she be?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. You know, be in close quarters or something. I don't. I want the privacy first and foremost to
Yeah.
do the work. You know,
Well,
and I
I'm
don't know
assuming you'll
about
have your own room, or
Wi-Fi.
no? Will you be sharing a room?
She's sleep apnea, so she wears that big, you know, helmet and breathing machine, you know, at nighttime. So she has to have her own room. So
Well,
I
there you
may be
go.
getting the couch with the pull-out couch, which is
Oh, I see.
crappy. But
Oh,
um, you know, so I'd be in more of the common area. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. That's probably.
I'll see.
Uh,
I'll talk to her about it. You know,
yeah,
we'll see. I'm not gonna, you know, if
yeah.
you know,
You can't
Kyla
sleep
might
too
want
much.
to, you know, the type she's gonna be as soon as I get back, then she's gonna be here for that weekend. You know, so
Mm.
um, well, we'll see. I'm gonna kind of let that one play itself out a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
sometimes she's got to wait, and then they solve
yeah,
themselves. You know. So.
yeah, yeah. And again, if she, you know, does more, oh, that was the other thing with the repeat backs and stuff. It
Uh-huh.
sounds like now she gets a little bit more that she's doing a repeat back and she's writing it all down. And then she does her takeaways seem nice. I mean, like these weren't super long sessions in the beginning and they're not, you know, those task driven crazy things at the end, you know, like in some of the other modules and things. So she, you know, she puts her words in very, very nicely for her takeaway. but she's not reading to me. She just kind of scans over her notes and she might pick something out. Should I be having her read her repeat back?
Yeah. Have her go into detail. Yeah, people feel awkward about sharing it for whatever reason until they
Yeah.
asked to do so. They always think it's too much. Somehow they're going to be boring or whatever. So no, yeah, absolutely say no. Go through it in detail. I want to hear absolutely every
Yeah.
detail. So get
Yeah.
her.
And
Yeah.
because I said, I think I'm afraid I'm missing something because, you know, she's doing her repeat backs now, I think in a better way, because before in the beginning, no, you know, who really understands it, you know? And, so, you know, but I saw her, she was just scanning down and she was reading them and then she'd say one or two things. And that's why I'm glad I had my notes, or I'd have been sitting there twiddling my thumbs going, what the hell was this session all about? You know?
Right. No,
What,
you need to hear every last detail, and not
yeah.
only to hear the detail, but also because you want to create the the climate where she's doing most of the sharing and talking.
Yeah.
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 So when they do that, you know, when you're going through your notes in detail, then that's what happens. That's the obvious part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I felt was missing big time, that she I should have had her share more by reading her repeat backs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also just, you know, in the
That-
Zoom session too, you know, just if you ask a question, make space for it to be answered.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's very important. So, and ask your questions one at a time too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not all.
yeah, no, I get too excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, no,
So,
no.
so
Yeah, no.
again, you know, you might feel like you've got a lot that you've got to do. Yes, there is a lot to do, but you have to say it's going to take time, and all I can do is now. So shift your speed into the
Yeah.
slowest possible speed you can, so that
Mhm.
you know you're taking it that literally one step pause, and there's a pause, and you wait, and I need more, I need more, I need more. Create that climate of getting it to come out of her.
We're gonna have to take some valerian root or
Ah,
something.
there
No,
you go. There you go. There you
no,
go. Yeah, yeah.
I'm only teasing. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. No, I do.
it's a problem because there's so much that you know we realize there's so much that needs to be done, but it's just a slow process. You know, that's all.
Yeah, yeah. And again, you know, my over enthusiasm. I mean, you know how enthusiastic I am about my own stuff. I get that way about other people, you know,
You know, you
and
run
that,
at a different speed too.
yeah,
You know, so just be aware.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
early
yeah,
days, early days.
yeah. It's very early. Yeah, but isn't she cute? Isn't she a cute little thing?
But again, you have to be careful. You know, I mean, you know, she's not 14 years old or 12.
No.
You know?
Yeah,
but
22.
but
She'll be
but she
20.
can kind of relate a little bit like that. And you know, Beena's point that she made, it's very valid. That she's intelligent, she's smart, but yet she's not doing simple stuff. You know, the
Not
finances
doing,
thing. It's
not
not
doing what?
like a
You cut out
finances
there.
or sorry, hello Donna. The finances or the unusual. You know, just like I don't know, laundry or whatever. I mean, you know, it's not like this is difficult or a big deal. It's not about whether you can or cannot do it. It's whether you want to. This is
Hmm.
right.
Mm.
So if she was a 12-year-old or 8-year-old, okay, now we can be talking about, you know, learning this and how difficult it is. She's quite capable of learning any of the stuff on her own. For heaven's sake, she's got a college degree. So it's got
Right.
nothing to do with her ability. It's got to do with her willingness.
Mm.
She can go on Google and learn all this stuff. I mean, she's smart enough to, she's got a degree, for heaven's sake, she can figure out how to pay for her stuff, you know. So this is the issue. She's deferred the stuff to everybody else because it's very convenient for her.
Because her mother's always done it.
And it's very convenient. She likes this. Her life is pretty easy. So if
Yeah.
you really watch the careful little smiles at certain points here, you get to see that point that Beena brought up about her hacker mindset.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant,
Gotcha.
brilliant, brilliant.
Hello, Donna.
Hi,
Yeah,
Donna. How are
Donna,
you?
Donna's been sitting in on some of the sessions, which is great. She was here with Elizabeth yesterday.
Nice.
Yes,
Nice.
Oh,
very useful, very helpful with Elizabeth. It was great. It was very, very, very good.
Cool. Cool.
All right.
Excellent.
Yeah. So just I want to go over the Kyla thing again, but after you've watched it, again we
Okay,
will.
I will. Mm-hmm.
Very fun.
Absolutely. I'll try to do that this
Um,
afternoon.
on the on the on the books, don't worry too much about it. They just, I read a bit of it before, like earlier, and I was like, wow, yeah, it's very detailed, it's very dense. So don't worry about it. It's not that critical to read. It was more the takeaways from it now. Okay, for me, that point, this was like an hour's worth of read, and okay, I got a takeaway, and I'll move on. But it was an important takeaway. But if I look at it now, maybe it's not doesn't have quite the same impact. So don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Take
But
it
that
slow.
was weird how a lot of the papers were, you just couldn't see
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
You
That's
could see
probably
like
because
somebody,
your
yeah.
your 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 program that opens the PDF file, open it in a browser rather than with Adobe Acrobat or the vice versa. Yeah, yeah. Just use a
Okay.
different program to open it.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
All right,
Perfect.
brilliant,
All
brilliant. So
right. Let's
how are we
go
on
back to the
takeaways and stuff?
sessions.
Yeah.
Okay. We're still on the tasks here. There are a lot of man, this is one where you had a bazillion tasks in here.
All right, right.
What kind of atypical behavior would be appropriate in this context and also to not be appropriate? So where were we? Release from a typical behavior, demonstrate. Okay, whatever. What kind of atypical behavior would be appropriate in this context and also to not be inappropriate? For me, atypical behavior that is appropriate as well as not to be inappropriate would be emphasizing their moreness and de-emphasizing their problems and negativities, helping them to see that they have been impeccable in their actions despite it being an inappropriate application of their goodness, like just not dwelling on, what's wrong.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
As best as you can, we know it's a huge question in the overall and broadly. Outline what moreness means to you. For me, moreness is the vastest part of all existence that most don't even fathom that it even exists. And I mean that. I mean, just so many people just don't get how much more is out there. Moreness is the next level and the next level and the next level to infinity that exists in everything in the world and beyond. It is the definition of the truly insatiable appetite we have for knowledge of all kinds in the universe. There is always more to learn and be and do if we just open ourselves up to those grand possibilities because they do exist.
yeah, yeah. And would moreness also be, by definition, discovery, obviously, but also that which is the unknown and that which we need to learn?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that's where that learning came in, right? The unknown. Sure. Let me just add that in there. Okay. Um, if we only eliminate a negative, what are we left with? For me, we're left with positivity. If we take away negativity, what are we left with? Positivity.
If we only take away negativity, we're left with zero. You have to add positivity in there for replacement. So in other words, if you take a math equation, and you take -2 and you remove the -2, you get zero. You don't get +2 or +3 or +5. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the problem solving logic, that if you remove the problem, you don't necessarily get the replacement. You teach your kids, say, do not steal. And your kid says, okay, I'm not stealing, but they go around being mean and nasty. I'm not stealing, but they're bullying. I'm being mean, nasty, rude, whatever. I'm not stealing. See?
Yeah.
So they don't learn how to be courteous and kind. And, yeah, so we have to
Mm-hmm.
focus on the replacement here. Yeah.
Replacement theory. Yeah.
I mean, it's
Gotcha.
by assumption that we get the positive, but unfortunately, not everybody's brain figures that. So some
Mhm.
are very literal in their thinking, like, don't steal. Okay, I'm not stealing. I did what you said. But then they also get lost because they don't know how to behave because they're looking
Mhm.
for that. So yeah, it's a
Mhm.
problem, big problem for many
Yeah.
people. Problem.
What replacement can we offer without offering advice, without us having any content, specific knowledge, wisdom, and the like? For
Mm,
me, for me, this is clearly so much more to doing than giving advice by being impeccable and deliberately using capital H hearing. So it will allow me to hear the implications from what they are saying to get to the heart of the issue, hearing their moreness, hearing the surprises. And if I speak, it will be as a repeat back or to ask pertinent questions around the implications made that they will make that will make them think more and hopefully trigger them to think for themselves to figure it out on their own.
mm. What was the task question again?
What replacement can we offer without giving advice, without us having any contact, specific knowledge, wisdom, and the like? So it was the hearing, just being impeccable with capital H hearing, and you know,
And would choice
hearing
fall
the
into that?
implications. What's that, hum?
Choice.
Yeah, so that they have the choice. That's the goal of the hearing, is so that they come out of it with
Right.
choices. Yeah.
Right. So a replacement that we can offer without, telling or instructing or forcing them is choice and awareness. When we as a replacement, you offer awareness of awareness, and you offer awareness of choice, and this is something that you can do with the free conscience, because you are not influencing them to be in a specific way. If you
Right.
tell them you got to be this way, that way, you're just shifting them from one limited bubble into another, and they don't acquire any freedom. But if you focus on, are you aware of awareness? What is awareness to you? Are your choices, all of the liberation? Okay, this is fine, because from there they now forced to choose for themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
and this is a replacement that we can freely share without
Mm-hmm.
any reservations. Right? There's no restrictions, no problems with it, no hang-ups on it, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And again, yeah. No, that makes sense. I just kind of missed uh, writing that down. But yeah, choices and awareness are the replacements to really give to others without telling them what to do. 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, I went
Very
underneath that a
exciting.
little
Very
far.
exciting. Very exciting. Yeah.
So here's a quote from Biela Noble. Trust is supported by impeccability. That's when it actually becomes trust, capital T trust. Without impeccability, it's the vain emptiness of hope and wish. It's exciting to know what we have at our disposal, such a power, such a power. It's attainable because we know we can be impeccable regardless of how acutely we are aware of our nincompoopery. Impeccability is not slave to being right, only to impeccability.
Yes. Yes.
So the space we are creating is compromised of trust. We create a space of trust by emphasizing our appreciation. We deeply approve uh, that of people because we understand and have the perception of their underlying intent to goodness of everyone. We extend trust deliberately as soon as we engage in a greeting of appreciation. This space that is created at the time lets them know that they're uh, that here in this space they can be more. Here, a different paradigm of being actually is going to apply. Here, you can be what's actually needed. We communicate with our very being, acceptance of circumstance, with the implied obvious of the function and the purpose of our space. In the space where we feel comfortable in what we do, we are impeccable, and trust is not an issue. It's simply a given. Trust in this setting actually becomes a function of our confidence, regardless of how we feel in general when it comes to any specific interaction. There, we have to be completely confident. That confidence comes from our capital H hearing, because we know that we will hear what we need to hear. Anything that needs to come will come.
Yeah.
We trust that everything will play out as needed. We also trust that the space we have created and are creating will be more than enough to handle for what is needed.
Yeah.
Skills of being and self-trust is based on our confidence, and confidence also comes from the space that is made, which enables what needs to happen for both of us and others.
All right. So just to recap a little bit here, we are looking at this task or this question is in the context of the hearing and helping course, right? So our overall context is how to help without helping, as it were. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking to assist. We are looking to help without giving people the answers, which isn't really help, because then they go and solve the problem maybe, but they don't learn how to problem solve in general, right? So this is what we are after. We are looking to assist them in problem solving, yeah, and to acquire problem solving abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our overall agenda. So when we in that space where you were said, the solution comes via hearing, right? So now we are coming into the relationship from an entirely different, like you can almost think of it as a funnel point, right? The usual funnel point is I have all of this information that I want to funnel into you.
Mm-hmm.
We're switching that around. We're giving the funnel to the other person, and the small end is by them and the big end is by us.
Mm. Mm.
Right. So now what's going on inside me, I have no funnel. I'm a blank here. I don't know what I'm going to say or do. Everything that I do is in response to what comes out of that funnel. Now, I do
So my
I
actions are in response to
always,
what yeah.
always in response. Always in response. Right. So first of all, though, there are a few things that I will do because you hand somebody a funnel and nothing may come out. So I have to create the space that
Right.
I'm here to listen to you. I'm eager to listen to you. I want to listen to you. If I ask a question, I actually sit there waiting for the answer. Yeah, but this, most people get asked questions and they know they don't need to answer it because mostly people ask questions, don't wait for an answer. So I'm sitting here, okay, I'm listening. And also by implication, when I ask a question, it's just to get things going. It's like, you assume there's more. It's like, okay, and then what? And then what? And what else? And, so you continually queuing and creating the space for the hearing, for the more. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
Now, why exactly do we do this in this particular way? Because of pertinence and relevance.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter that you've got all the answers for them. They're actually not going to hear them
Mm-hmm.
unless it is that you are sharing this in response to something that they said, they brought up, they shared, that they asked. In other words, where you could see, oh, this is their focal point in their mind, in them at the moment. This is what they are connected to. This is where they are focused on. This is what they want to know. So now when you share some point, perspective, idea, oh, it's pertinent and relevant, it's important, and it connects to what they want to know. So
Yeah.
now it's kind of pretty easy, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Then too, when you ask a question, instead of sharing it as a point of information, you just put it into a question form. What if you were to try this? Oh, I never thought to do that. And then they think, what if I were to try this? They thinking, their brain is shifting and working. It's not just getting an answer which gets put onto the hard drive, which doesn't do much.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That
Very
makes
common.
sense. So if I just uh, think of my actions as the response to
Yeah,
what they're actually saying and doing,
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
and then when my response will be only what's pertinent and relevant to them. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly, exactly. And your focus is what's going on inside of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what
And
you
that's
bring to
something
everything.
I'm going to really hear when I play back my Zoom session with her. And see how much of that was missing.
Yeah.
Now,
It was all good. It was all good. It was all good. Really and truly. That's why when I started this, it's one thing to have an understanding of what you want to do. The communication and the sharing of it, that's a whole different deal. It's a whole different deal.
yeah,
That takes time and effort and practice and repetition. Doing
yeah,
those workshops. If you watch the tapes of the very early workshops, you'll see how quickly, and that shifted and changed and how we adapted and so a lot of learning involved, so
mhm.
a lot of learning
Yeah,
involved.
yeah. And again, it all goes back to Sil to it. Yes, it all makes sense in the brain and all the modules, but the you gotta get it into that application. And these are old habits and old whatever that need to be just shifted a bit. It's amazing how much conditioning goes on in the
But
brain.
you already shifted quite well, Sue. That
Mm-hmm.
was the first one, and you were doing it alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it is really good what you did.
Oh,
Fantastic.
thanks.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. So
Everything else is okay. Your energy is different.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand that and make peace with that your energy is different. So, everything is from that point of view. So which is
Yeah.
quite good and appropriate. Okay, a few things as Sil mentioned that, and already of course that you're gonna watch that. So he will be in real what is the nuance and everything. Of course you will get that
Mhm.
because this is what part of your capital H hearing also.
Sure.
But
yeah.
right
Sure.
now, as just by looking at it, as as your first ever Zoom session, it's a different association. You were doing therapy all your life, like,
Hmm.
almost. But the first ever Zoom session, doing the wave compatibility with that person,
It's a lot.
it's a good thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and
good.
doing it by yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was waiting. I could hear almost Beena and Sil
That's
popping in.
what's that's something that Beena said. She said to me, "Don't forget, Sal, that Beena is also. I mean, that Sue is also aware that we are going to be watching this. So you got like extra complication and degree of difficulty. So be
Yeah,
easy on yourself. Be easy on
yeah,
yourself.
and the big part, of that whole thing at the end, I'm like, should I send this? I'm not sure it's perfect.
Oh, why
And
not?
then I said, no, they need to see what I
Oh,
did. I
absolutely.
need
Oh,
to,
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I
Well,
need to
also
make
because it involves wave impeccability, so we absolutely have to see it. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But there's some like maybe I should wait to the second one and send it. It'll get better.
No, no, this is the
No,
precious one.
no, no.
This
But
So
is the most important one.
yeah, no, that was the part of me that I'm like, I'm sharing it and end of story.
Yes.
And I'm like, can I share? And I figured out how to share it.
yeah.
But,
So something that's, that's very important to pay attention to here, very useful in yourself. Pay attention to how conception, understanding, belief is very, very, very different to application and communication,
say
implementation, right?
say that again. I
How,
mean,
how,
explain
how
that more.
conception, belief, understanding inside you, right? So when you look at yourself to say, I kind of had an idea, I thought I knew, but the way I'm communicating it and what I think I'm doing are two different things. And this is something that takes practice to
Okay.
actually share and communicate what's going on inside your head. And
Mhm.
this is where self-proof is so absolutely critical. We need
Mhm.
to actually put it out there to see for sure, for real, that what we believe we know, what we think we understand, actually is so in application. The
Mhm.
mind is very tricky. Now, the reason I want you to do this is not for yourself. Yes, that's a bonus, but to look at it also to understand it from the client's point of view,
Mhm.
right? They believe they know what's going on. The moment they start talking about it, they realize, I haven't got a clue.
Mhm.
Or you get to realize they don't. They think they know what they're talking about, but they don't. They lost. They have no idea. So we have to. This is a big thing for most people. This discrepancy between believing we know stuff and actually knowing it. We need to prove to ourselves we actually know it, because we can
Mhm.
really fool ourselves in our heads that we actually know stuff. So
That's
what's the
that's
client?
what made me say, I think I might be missing something because she didn't read me back the repeat backs. In the end, when she was really struggling with, it was more than she might be tired or distracted or I'm like, I think she's missing something here. And that was a big, big point. And so I may have belabored it a little bit too much. And then I calmed and just said, listen, no pressure here. Just go back when you are able and reread it, because there is true, there's a tool for you to use to make you help you with awareness and with some of these statements and things like that. But I thought, oh, she really, she's not getting it. Something is really missing here. So thank you for that. Yes. Yeah. So that really, really makes sense there. But I caught that at the very, very end, because again, up to that point, it's believable. But again, I didn't hear everything she was saying. It was very
You got to
selective.
hear it all. So at your next session, have a go through it in
Read.
detail.
I'll just have her read it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she put it on her thing and she's making, her different files and stuff, which is great.
If you want, you can also get it to email it to you and pass it on to us, and we can review it.
I was thinking about that too, to have her for the first couple, just, send me your notes,
Yeah,
forward me your
right,
notes.
right. But also her reading it in detail, she gets a
Oh, yeah,
idea
yeah.
herself, right? Because when you
Yeah,
write it, you're hearing your thinking. When
yeah.
you read it back again or share it back again, you actually now not in the construction creation space, so your brain isn't all busy. Your attention can now actually go on to listening to what you said, and now you can, oh, does this actually make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It made sense while you were in the bubble of creating it, but now you're looking at it from a bit more of a reserve. So it's very
Perfect.
important. So yeah, the whole repeat back mechanism, there's a lot of nuance to it that you
Mm-hmm.
can't really explain. You just have to let the people do it. And there's this implied value that's automatic, which is very cool. Very, very cool.
Should I, what is your suggestion, to have her send me the notes prior to the session or
Correct.
after the session? Prior
Uh,
to, so I can
either
look at
way,
them?
more so that we can look at them, but
Yeah.
either way, after probably would be better, but you've already had the session. So then in the next one, even if she sends them to you, you can just ask her to go over it again, because it's, I want to hear it from you, and I want you
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, yeah.
go both, so that you kind of know what's
I
coming.
want
And
to, I'm going to tell her, I want to see what you've written and I want to hear what you've written,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know? Yeah,
both.
because that's part of the,
I mean, I'm
how,
just cautious a little bit, to in how this is communicated. You kind of want to put it in as a very casual thing. So, just email me your notes as well, for my, like, more for my records kind of a thing, and not that,
okay.
because you don't want it to get into a situation where she's going to write those notes. And it's like a test now. See,
Mhm.
I mean, they really are for her. Yeah. See, so you
Well,
don't
then
want.
I'll do it. If she's going to read them to me, then I'll just say at the end,
Yeah,
copy and paste those and
yeah,
send them
please,
to
if you
me.
don't
Well,
mind. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Then
yeah,
I can just
perfect.
go over it again. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. She's not doing it for the purpose of you reading it. You see, it's
Okay.
for
Okay.
her.
Yeah.
Those notes are
Yeah.
for her and for her value. You see, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's what she's gonna get out of it.
Notes after session. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's already after the session. You see, that's why it was the opportunity this time. But yeah, do it after. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Perfect. Confidence is connected to our humility. You can be confident and humble all at the same time. And is essential, actually, not a contradiction.
Mm.
Or our very being allows us to have balance with the force of awareness, with our emphasized appreciation, and with our realness of being. Confidence is based on their realness of being. There is no doubt when we are real, others, other, sorry, there is no doubt when we are real. Otherwise, we would be phonies.
Right. Exactly.
There's no doubt when we are being real, actually, being real. Otherwise, we would be phonies.
Right. Right. We know it, in other words. We know what we are. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's what you mean? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A real quick point that came up yesterday, and it's kind of a fun perspective. I think of it as this when it comes to humility and confidence as well. I think of knowledge as being, or information, or what we know, our awareness being this inverted pyramid on top of our head, which means that as you sort of fill up that pyramid, the more you know, the more you realize how much there is to know, right?
Right.
So it's an inverted problem. So as we know more, we know that we know percentage-wise less and less of what there is to know, right? So your humility has to increase if you're honest. Yeah. Now
Mm-hmm.
it can create a problem, and this does happen. Sometimes people get depressed. They start learning a bit, and then they realize how much there is to know, and they feel it's a hopeless task, and they sort of give up. It really happens. It's a really sad thing. So we also have to focus on our progression to say, hey, I might know less and less as I go on, but it's still more and more relative to what I did know, and I am actually learning and growing, and I am actually able to do more than I could do before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we got
Yeah.
to see this ever increasing moreness, not as a liability, and not as like a stress thing, but as excitement to say, wow, so much to learn and discover. And then the
Mhm.
other part of this that's very important, we have to understand that learning is also exponential.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
linear, right?
Yeah.
So we don't learn 1, 2, 3, 4. We learn 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 5, 12, 10, 24, 10, 28. Sorry, I can keep going, but
Yeah.
so it's very
uh,
important to be aware of that,
yeah.
very, very
Very
important. So we
cool.
don't get overwhelmed, but it's the beauty of it is when we really look at humility, say, wow, there's an infinity of moreness out there. How exciting is that? But
Mm-hmm.
then we also understand abstract thinking, which takes all that moreness and it keeps putting it into these abstract conceptions, which simplifies it. So when you learn abstract thinking, moreness doesn't become a problem, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. The last comment before the tasks is our intent to creating the space necessary. We must be aware of our self-trust, our confidence, and our realness. This is how we make space through our being, how we are, our intent, our energy, and all of ourselves. So the task is, since we make space by deliberately being ourselves, by being real, practice for a day to not be you. Spend a day being as opposite to you as you can and see what happens. How do others react and interact with you? What kind of space did you create and make? For me, I found this exercise very difficult to do, especially to family and friends. It was way too awkward to even think about doing it, even though it was a requested task. I can tell you exactly how someone would react to the opposite of me. They would be appalled by my insensitivity, my closed offness, my rudeness, my negativity, and my rudeness. The space I made was so small because it was so negative from my limited thinking and actions. So again, I mean, that's the opposite of me. I mean, who the hell would want that around? I couldn't, to practice that was just too bizarre. I don't know. Did I miss something in that?
I think so. I'm gonna go back. I want to read the question. I missed a little bit when I was hearing it. So I keep going.
Right out in in detail what all trust involves when we make space for trust and bring trust into our interaction.
So
Why?
we still on the hearing and helping, right?
Yes,
But I
yes,
mean, on the listening to hear more. We're on session 2 still, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I just want to get to that task itself.
It starts out, the words are since, if you type in to find, since we make space by deliberately being ourselves, comma. That's how it starts.
And I'm just scrolling through the actual slides, in that quick way that I can do. So, I'll just look for the task itself. Oh, and back. All right. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's after the patience one. Oh. Uh. Hmm. We on session 2, right?
Pretty sure. Let me, ooh, I don't want to lose my space here. Hold on 1 second. Let me mark this so I can,
I think we're on session 3.
hold on.
Yeah, it's got to be session 3. Yeah. We did the recaps already, didn't we?
On one of them, we did the recaps. I'm just going to go way down. No, we didn't do the recap yet. This is, that's a long way away. This is,
Then I'm too far to the end then.
yeah, yeah. This is module 1, session 3 in the beginning.
It is session 3. That's what I was
It is
asking, not
session
2.
3.
Yeah.
Module 1, session 3. My mistake. Yes.
All right, no problem,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah, that's what I figured. Because we did the recaps on 2.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on trust. Making space. I mean, we're on making space for release. All right. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because that exercise is about making space. Yeah. All right.
So it's in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it's a second group of tasks, probably.
Okay. So, no, it's the very first one. Yeah. Since we are making space for another client or not, to not be interacting with us from the usuals of convention, how will you, do you, make sure the expectations are shifted coming to the action?
That's not the one.
Which difference? Okay. What are your expectations? That's one that says since we are making space.
No, there's another one that says, since we make space by deliberately being ourselves.
Gotcha.
That's,
Gotcha. And they both start with since then. All right. Yeah, since we make space by deliberately being ourselves, by being real. Practice for a day to not be you. Spend a day being as opposite to you as you can and see what happens. Yeah, see what happens in there. All right, so as opposite as you can. Yeah. So opposite doesn't necessarily mean I should have said different as you can, and I will change that to different as you can rather than opposite. Um, to just see how people react differently to you. And you've already done this, Sue, when you shifted when you were practicing just listening. Remember? And people were like, but you're not saying anything, Sue. Are you all right?
mm-hmm.
That's the point. They react differently when
Yeah.
we.
Check her for a pulse. Check her for a pulse. No.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But now now that you're more into it, the last part of the key here is what kind of space did you create to make. So in other words, our beingness creates a space. If you're a talker, well, you're not making space for anything. Yeah, except you can maybe make a space for people to hear you if you talk in a different way. But look at Jody. She just jabbers away and nobody listens to her, right? And she doesn't make space for anybody to actually hear what she's saying. She doesn't really want anyone to really take her seriously with what she's saying, because then they would have to say, but seriously, Jody, do you really mean that, right?
Mhm.
So she creates a space for non-answers, yeah, for not taking her seriously. Yeah. So this
Mhm.
is the key point here. When we, I just, it's an, just to be aware of how space is created.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If you change that one word to different
yeah.
versus opposite, I was
It
like,
was as different, as
I couldn't
opposite
bring
as you
myself
can.
to do it.
Yeah,
Huh?
it was
Yeah.
as opposite as you can, not necessarily.
Not jump off that cliff. So
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
All right. The next task is write out in detail what all trust involves when we make space and bring trust into our interaction. Why exactly is it so essential? Make the obvious
right.
obvious.
So it was right out in detail what all trust involves when we make space for trust, not just make space for trust, and bring
Mm-hmm.
trust into our interaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm. For me, if my trust is supported by my impeccability, then I can create capital T trust, which will be my superpower. My impeccability has nothing to do with me being right. It's only about my impeccableness. When I emphasize appreciation in my greeting to others, I automatically make space for trust as well. That appreciation comes from my true genuineness and my inherent understanding and perception that people in general have intent to goodness. So I trust that they are just that. My being lets me trust so I can deliberately extend it out. When I am real and accept the circumstances, understand why I am where I am and for what purpose. In this space, I can be impeccable and know what I'm then trust is automatically on board. With trust, there is confidence that I need in that interaction, despite how I feel in general. My confidence is based on my capital H hearing, and I trust that matters will unfold as needed. I trust in the space I create to be exactly what is needed for that situation. My confidence is based on my trust of self and my skills of being. My awareness and my trust, self trust is critical to be able to make the space needed for my intent. From my
wow,
intent.
wow. So would you say also that trust is very dependent on implications?
Is dependent, is trust dependent on implications?
All right, let me ask it another way. You with a client, right? And they share stuff, and you judge and evaluate it. What's the implication?
Tell me something.
Oh,
I trust that what they're saying to be true. I mean, trust is on certainly on board.
right, but I
I
mean, if I'm always evaluating and judging you, whatever you say, uh, you may feel not so trusting in the environment because, well, I don't want to be judged and evaluated all the time. So,
yeah, no, right. We shouldn't be judging.
right, I'm just saying it's about the implications here, not about what we should or shouldn't do. I mean, that's obviously not a good way to go about it, but it's the implications of what we are doing on our side. We have to look at how the other it takes that as an implication. See,
Hmm.
if I ask a question and I don't wait for the question to be answered, well, how are they going to trust that my question is sincere?
Mm.
By implication again, see? So trust is built on implications to a large extent. There needs to be a demonstration of this. So when we make a space, we've got to create that and pay attention to the implications. Yeah.
Mhm. Implications on both ends, on from
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever they share, if we just, it is what it is, and we have no deeper reaction. All we are looking to do is understand. Then they see our intent demonstrated, and they trust that we're just looking to understand. It's taken for granted that the rest, and it doesn't matter. they can trust that they can share whatever. And when they do share whatever, we don't like act with shock or kind of like, whoa, that was kind of way out there or whatever. No, it might be out there to us, but it's not out there to them, right?
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So there's right. Their sharing is really only about us really wanting to understand it, not to judge it, not to, yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And encouraging more sharing. This is it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that trust is built on whatever they do share, it's good, it's okay. And so we are continually emphasizing that the sharing is good and okay, that their understanding is good and okay. You know, them thinking it through and paying attention is good and okay, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Correct.
So we have to demonstrate trust in
Mm-hmm.
many ways, you know, by being patient, for instance, that we trust the process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that sits right next alongside of patience, that trust. Yeah. Yeah.
You remember the task on patience? It was a whole thing just on patience. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
Good.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Right. So in this case with patience, shifted to pacing.
Pacing.
The
I
pace.
like patience.
Shift the pace. Shift the pace. Yeah, yeah. Very helpful. Because you know we get into a rhythm and then we're so eager. But eagerness, you know, when we have that slow pace, like you know, like you start off nice and slowly. This is a golf thing. Gary Player always used to say when he drove to a tournament, he always drove really slowly
Mm-hmm.
to get his body into a very chill pace, because that's usually what happens to the golfers. They start and then they rush their swings, and it's a mess in the beginning. And because you're all hyper and you're excited, so he deliberately made every effort to slow his pace down to not have that happen. So we want to
Mm-hmm.
have that same apply in the Zoom sessions. Very important. Very
Yeah.
important. Or
Gotcha.
any session, really.
I
Pace,
think I like pace
pace.
better than patience.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Pace.
and of course, once you slow your pace down, then patience becomes a lot easier.
Sure.
When you
Sure.
slow it down to if you make your pace slower than that of the other person, then patience is no problem whatsoever.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
I can wait all day.
But pace is a lot easier for my brain to
That's why I said
allow
pace.
it
Yeah,
than the patience.
yes, yes. So
Com-
put capital
Exactly.
pace.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
appropriate term. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Otherwise, there's something wrong. You know, like I'm not patient enough. And again, I'm trying to get
No,
past
no.
patience
No.
versus enthusiasm, and
exactly.
you know how that's
Ah.
been misapplied for me in many ways.
Oh.
But
Oh.
Be enthusiastic about waiting, and be enthusiastic about being receptive, and be enthusiastic about just having that space for things to come.
Mhm.
So
And
enthusiasm.
and again, Suze, your energy is different. It's not about energy.
Mhm.
It is your unique way. Yes, it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
There is, this is nothing to do with your energy and your delivery, how you do that. The points Sil are making, I feel that it is something like it's a different thing. It is not about your pace. Your pace is perfectly appropriate and good for you because this is your natural way.
Mhm.
This is who you are, and this is
Mhm.
perfect.
Mhm.
And so it is not about this thing, and it is really good. I was thrilled and enjoyed that. That yes, your way. It was the first one. Come on,
Ah,
you guys are
right.
dissecting it like oh, just like pros and all that. Okay, yes, you are, but okay, that was the first thing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then I was going to say, if you take, dang it, if you take the space and you say, what is the pace of the other, and you match to their pace, ah, and also look to see if their pace needs to be slowed down. Almost always it does. Almost
Mhm.
always it does. So when somebody's looking to express something, right, what happens? They feel like they're being rude and they're being inconsiderate. They're holding you up. They're wasting your time. So they try and rush it because they know they've got a lot to share. And when they try and rush it, it doesn't come out nicely, right?
Yeah. Right.
So when we get them to slow down their pace or make it clear that you can, then they feel okay. We can take a time, and it's okay for me to share my long story, and then the long stories come out. Let me
Mhm.
ask Donna. Donna, I'm hoping you're still here. on this question of pace when it comes to you sharing stuff. When you get into a space where your pace is slower and you feel that you have time now and it's okay to share the long story in each excruciating detail, does that change how you share stuff and how you feel about sharing stuff? Donna, you here?
I'm here. It does, of course.
I just wanted to hear from you. That's all. Because I felt like it's a big deal for sometimes with you, that you feel sometimes when you're sharing something and it's coming out and you're looking to share it quickly because you don't want to like interrupt, hold things up, take out time, whatever. And then when you do slow down and you do feel that there's ample time to say it, then we get the full story in the detail and the depth and the excitement and the magic of it. And it's a huge difference, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
When there's perceived space from my end, and that doesn't necessarily mean there wasn't space on other occasions, which is a point to make as well. I perceived it to be there on that particular occasion, and it could have been there all along. And so that plays into it also. But then yes, that relieves some internal pressure, which allows things to flow so much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Perceived.
So I've been trying to look at what the difference is. Why do I see that space sometimes and feel that space sometimes, and I provide and am that space for sometimes, and then other times I'm not. So
Yeah. That's very powerful. That's very powerful. So we tend to believe our perceptions of others, but it's very important to actually pay attention to what they are doing and take that as the implication of their perception. So if we hear somebody rushing and abbreviating, by implication, they don't feel like they have the space to share in detail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they're just being considerate. I don't want to bore you with all my stuff. I want to hear every last detail. Every last detail in each nitty gritty. It's very important. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no such thing.
Yeah, and again, I'm such a time manager that again, that's that component there that has to, and again, people getting their money's worth, so to speak, like what are they going to think if they got no resolution from this thing? They're not going to come back or
Then the problem with time-based payments.
yeah.
When you pay ahead
It's
of time,
huge.
that time pressure goes, and now you can actually get to do the thing the way it needs to be done. So yeah, it's very huge. It's a conundrum a little bit because it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't type of a deal. But you see why this is so huge. Yeah. Because otherwise you're looking to compress it all into today's session.
Yeah, and that's Hercules, Bubby. Good boy. We got presents. Yeah. And again, I think that is kind of that, part of the problem, part of the issue. So again, like you said, if somebody is going to pay that full amount, because see, in the back of my mind, I keep saying, I don't know how long she's going to do this. I want her to get results. I want her mother to know that her money was well spent, and and it puts an unnecessary pressure.
Right. So it comes later in the course now, and then we've talked about it obviously, and you've already done it. But this is the absolute key point to understand that the most precious thing they get is feeling heard.
Yeah.
Once they feel heard, and that tap gush it's gushing open, there's nothing that's going to stop them from coming back. Because this is what's needed, and it's for everybody like this. Once we get to release this, once we get to share it, we get to hear ourselves. We feel heard, and that feeling heard bolsters your self-confidence, your self-trust, your self-assurance. Every single thing, that alone is necessary and valuable and huge. So it's to me, it's to shift your mind into the other. It's not what I'm going to give you that's of value. I'm going to create space for you to feel heard, and this is a precious value beyond anything else. I don't need to do anything more to that. Whatever else I do is a bonus. But you can share all of that stuff. If they don't feel heard, they won't hear a word you say.
Yeah.
None of it will penetrate, none of it will connect, none of it will resonate, none of it will be remembered. It won't make one iota of difference. It may even have a counter effect of irritating them, bothering them, annoying them.
Exactly. Exactly what I was going to say. In my experience, it does exactly that. And for me, in years I've explored these types of things, it's priceless, absolutely priceless to have a space where you feel heard.
Yeah.
How many
So
times
the
did you
time
do that,
element
Donna?
and the money element all goes away. And even if you don't say it, man, you know it. You deep down, you know it. Just to have that space and have somebody have the grace to provide that, man, that's worth millions.
Yeah.
That's my perspective, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No, very. You just never hear that self-proof back enough, like, oh geez, thanks for hearing me. I mean, sometimes, yeah, people do say that. Now I will kind of embrace that even stronger, like, wow, there's the value. They were heard, they feel heard, they're being heard. That is worth $1,000,000,
$1,000,000, and look for the fact that they keep talking,
yeah,
because they're telling you by keeping the conversation going. Look for it through tears and emotions. There's lots of ways people can say, man, I just
yeah,
really appreciate this space, without them saying it, because a lot of people probably won't. But I bet you're getting told that a
yeah,
lot.
no, absolutely. I mean, they just keep going. Thank you, Donna, for that. It is that there's that validation for me, because that does happen, that, all the time. I just have to know that that is the value. It's weird how we think we have to put a either something materialistic or something attached to that they're going to walk out of here with something, but they already are. Yeah. That's me. I got to shift that. Thank you. Yeah.
Donna was very diplomatically giving me a few smacks upside the head there too.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. People do. Yeah. Okay,
I hear you,
cool.
Donna. I hear you, Donna.
Mhm.
Brilliant, brilliant.
I'm laughing on mute.
Oh. Yeah, no, I hear you there. I hear you. So we learn, we learn, we learn, we learn. It's hard. It's hard to keep hearing when you hear people in pain. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
difficult. That's something I really, really struggle with. It's difficult. It's difficult.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah. I don't
learned.
know.
You helped a lot with that. Really magical.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know that I struggle with, because I've just heard so many just, stories beyond belief, but,
It's not.
I
It's
don't.
not. It's not the nature of the stories. Me too. I've heard everything. It is the feel of it. I get pulled into what they feeling, and I end up feeling what they
Uh,
feeling, and now
the empathic component. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah,
that's and then I have to
yeah,
really struggle with that. So
yeah. Most of the
if
time,
I start to really care about the people.
yeah. Most of the time, I try to have that boundary there, because I know I will be of no value, because if I start, I mean, and some of the stories are weep worth, or I could just collapse.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but if I don't keep myself grounded and keep my boundaries in check, I know I can be absolutely of no value.
Yeah.
But it's easy to go. That's that empathic side. And sometimes I just shift where my heart is. Sometimes it happened to be in one of my schools where this woman was telling this story. There's 50 women in a room. We stayed in this huge mansion in Virginia,
Oh wow.
and it was healthy
50,
people.
50 people in one house.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a massive mansion ballroom or something. So
Wow.
they put and they weren't folding chairs. They were all kinds of big upholstered chairs and stuff.
Yeah.
So 50 women in this big circle, and then the main teacher and her assistant in there. It was healthy healing boundaries. It was a cool course. And I'm sitting there, a woman was literally directly across the room from me. And she was talking about a really, really horrific rape that she had gone through. And
Wow.
all of a sudden, uh, uh, I lost it. I mean, I was
Wow.
weeping, and the
Wow.
teacher saw me. I had no connection to that whatsoever, but I felt her pain. And the teacher sent over her assistant. She goes like this, get over there and ground Sue.
Wow.
Went over there and made me put my feet on the ground and sat next to me and said, breathe. And she said, I want you to shift. My heart was literally lined up directly across
Yeah.
from that
Yeah.
woman's,
Yeah.
and that empathic component of mine. So that was a real teachable moment, learning moment for me. Uh, that, wow, you could really.
One of the advantages of Zoom, I don't know if I would be able to do this one on one. I would get to. I nearly died once from being too connected. I told you that story with a woman with her head that was cut and I had no blood pressure.
Wow,
No?
no, I never heard
Oh,
that story.
so, so we're on the desert on the mountain where we had the restaurant, right? So yeah, we wake up in the middle of the night, something's wrong. We can't hear anything, but we're awake. Something's wrong. So that's the first interesting point of the story. We just woke up and we knew something was wrong. I know about 10, 15 minutes later, we get, knock on the door. Okay, so, all right. So some of the laborers on the farm, we were the closest to their compound. One of them had worked originally for us, but not for a while. So anyway, but so it was a big fight and she was bleeding, cut with a bottle on the head. So, really, they should go to the manager. But anyway, so we go to him, and he doesn't want to do anything about it, which is astonishing. I said, but this woman's going to bleed to death. Anyway, so he said, okay, well, take the truck. So, all right, we get three of us in the truck, and she's sitting against the door, and here we drive. Now it's a 3-hour drive to the hospital. The first part of it is gravel roads and down a mountain. And the exciting part of the story, at least not exciting but interesting, when we go down the mountain, it's a full blood moon. And I've seen a few blood moons since, and I never knew why they were called blood moons since. But then I could say why, because that was a red moon, not orange. It was red. It was, and we're going down the mountain. It's right in front of us, all the way down. Anyway, so all right, so we get to the hospital, and it's like, I don't know, 3, 4 in the morning, sometime like that. Take her into and it's a little country hospital, and we right there in the same room where they are looking to find a vein, and they can't find a vein. I mean, she's sitting, I don't know, 10 feet away on the bed, all the nurses around. How come we right there? I don't know, but that's just the way they work there. So they're struggling to find the vein, and eventually they call the head nurse, because they couldn't find the vein. And the head nurse manages to get the vein. I mean, it's like right at the very last second. Well, the story makes me emotional when I tell it, but anyway.
Aw.
So then they find the vein and they're giving her the transplant. And the nurse who'd been struggling to find the vein, she kind of looks over at us, and she kind of looks at me again, and she says to me, "Are you right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Okay. And she says, "Well, you look a little pale. I want to come take your blood pressure." She takes my blood pressure, and she gets no reading. And this freaks her out. She gets no reading. She takes it again. She must have done something wrong. She says, "This can't be right." Again, she gets no reading. Oh, now she's really freaked out. She doesn't know what's going on. Then she called the head nurse, and the head nurse said that this happens sometimes when people get too immersed and involved with the patient, and they take on their symptoms.
Symptoms. Yeah. You
Yeah,
see that a lot in husband and wife
yeah, yeah,
situations. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
she said, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. But the poor
Wow.
nurse was really scared. She said, I can't believe it. I've never ever seen. You're supposed to be dead. So technically, I've been dead.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Oh my
You got
God.
no blood pressure, So, and she did it twice, and and then the head nurse came too, and did it the third time, and there was nothing. So, just so the
Holy
capacity
smoke.
to immerse, in other words, we have to be careful, and that
Yeah.
scared me.
Oh,
That scared
yeah.
me. I got a whole long article. It really scared me to say, because I was so concerned and so connected. Every second of that drive, I was paying attention to where she was, every groan and bump and everything. I was trying to drive so that it wouldn't bump and all this. So I was like total 100% concentration for 3+ hours on her state of being. Man. So We have to be careful, in other words. Listening and hearing is one thing, but we can overdo it. So we have to be very careful of this. So that's why I said in person, I'd be have a hard time. That's why when I hear somebody get emotional and I've been really paying attention, I'm right in it there with them, So I'm feeling what they're feeling. So
Yeah.
have to be careful. Have to be careful is all I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a good capacity to have, but we have to use it judiciously.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. No question. No question. Wow, what a story that is.
It was something.
Yeah.
There's more to the story, but anyway, that's for another time. When going back now, it's a whole different adventure.
Wow.
Lots of fun stories.
Listen, did she live? Did she
Oh
live?
yeah, she lived. Yeah. So she was back. I know, a couple of days later, and
Wow.
different culture. I mean, that the labor on the farms, the laborers on the farms. It's an absolute alcoholic culture. That's it. I mean, at one space they even used to pay them. Like on my uncle's farm, he managed big stud farms, really like awesome farms. They used to pay them 3 times a day. You start off at work, you get half a cup of wine. Lunch, you get a full cup, and then evening you get 2 cups.
Wow.
That was the deal. That was part of your wages, And then the local, they stopped that. They made a law against it actually, because of course you just perpetuating and encouraging alcoholism. They forced them to pay it in wages instead, because you're just creating an alcoholic culture. But yeah, so what they would do is, and knock off work, they go and get drunk. That's it. That's the life.
What else
Work,
do they
you
have
drink,
to do?
and
Yeah.
they struggle to even work because it's complete. So yeah, dreadful things. So of course, the fights every now and then. It's part of the culture. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Next task question is, how do you convey trust and bring trust into matters without saying a word? For me, just being my impeccable self, I can convey trust, which allows me to know that I am right where I need to be for the situation because I have self-trust and self-confidence and not even have to say a word about it. It's also shown through my energy and my intent, which requires no spoken words.
There you go. There you go. And it's shown by your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to demonstrate that you may have an intent to listen, but if you don't actually are willing to have that awkward silence and actually wait, then there's no demonstration. See? And that demonstration is really key. So that's how we convey that trust, through actual demonstration. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. Here you can be more. Here you can be what's needed. Engage in interactions of any kind and hold only these 2 questions in the forefront of your awareness. Be completely focused on them and see and relate what space you made. How is it different and how has it impacted who you were interacting with? And they have a note here, Persil, I need to interact with them. Good for example, K, you said for basic help because of they're holding themselves back. Okay. I have here that there are a lot of notes below on the Zoom session that was with Elizabeth, but I certainly did notice the change in her from the beginning, which was very guarded, and she had difficulty expressing herself. I kept thinking these phrases and almost said them out loud, but did not. But looking back, you can surely see the shift in her, and she opened up more and her ability to express herself with more confidence, ad-libbing changes, so you could really, really see them. And it was interesting, again, I mean, it was just hearing only, and I wanted to say, but here you can be more. I was like, I was on mute, you know what I mean? I'm like,
yeah. But that's good that you say it even though you're on mute, because the energy still goes out.
And there was a piece of me who wanted, if there was, how we can interject, here, like I was going to say, here you can be more. here, you can do what's needed. You just be you. And I thought, you know what, Sue, don't even come out and say that in this thing here. I just thought it. And I mean, I said it being
Right.
muted,
Right.
but interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, she
That's,
definitely.
yeah. The key is to hold it in your awareness and not
Yeah,
say it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because
Um,
you have to then you then have to kind of project it, but create that space for it to be absorbed, and you have to do certain actions that do that, and imply that. For instance, if we are saying, yeah, you can be more, and yeah, you can be what's needed, this would mean what's needed is for you to get into a problem solving mindset and modality rather than in a looking for answers modality.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
we
right.
are trusting that they are able to be in a space where we don't need to be giving them answers, because we don't want to give them the answers, because that's counterproductive. Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of notes here. Did you want to hear them or no?
Oh
Not.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, very much. Yeah, yeah.
Um, Elizabeth, she
Uh, uh,
wants
uh,
to,
what was that question again, Kyla?
did I say Kyla?
No, no, but I mean, isn't that the same thing that Kyla asked you?
Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Funny, funny. Okay. Note to self. Thank you. Um, she wants to be useful with the universe. She wants to be useful with the universe with awareness and all her senses in as a collective consciousness. She wants to build a sacred common ground, opportunity to learn and be more aware. Her job is a freelance artist and she's a chef at a B&B. Her beliefs are that life is a university to learn, to follow through with her beliefs, to take her mother role very seriously, that self-honesty and being honest with others is important. Integrity is important all that is said and done. And her belief is to show up in life and be authentic. The equal respect is important, having equal respect, and time for urgency and pressure to help shift the world. She believes that there is a time for urgency and pressure. So the implications that I got is just very difficult time in the beginning putting things into words.
Mhm.
Uh, that she said that her intent is to be present and learn, which is appropriate and applicable. I see her intent as the need for personal clarity and understanding.
What was that point about difficult into words?
Uh, that she has difficulty putting things into words.
Right. Now, who does that not apply to?
Erica Jane.
It did at the start. If you
Oh,
listen to it was a specific intent of Erica James to learn to communicate and express more clearly. We worked on that very specifically and deliberately. I'm just saying, it's for everybody. It is a continual intent to learn to be more communicative and expressive. So we can't just take for granted that people can express. We can almost take the opposite for granted, that they struggle to do so. So we have to communicate this and say it's not a problem. That's one of the things that we do is practice communication and expression. Yeah,
yeah, and encourage that awkwardness.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly,
that it's
exactly.
okay. Yeah, I mean, we talked about that from
Right,
with me.
right,
So
right,
yeah, cool.
right. I mean, you hear Donna, and it's like smooth and fluid and clear. What was it like in the beginning, Donna?
Smooth and fluid and clear. No?
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, yes. Again, it's good to say it in that way, because we don't want to say and have this. But yeah, it's just, there's a marked, remarkable difference, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, it's a joy listening to Donna. But when it started, it was still a joy listening to you, but it certainly wasn't smooth and fluid and clear. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Wow,
Yeah.
cool.
And mostly not so much because of the content, Donna, but because of you felt that you weren't smooth and fluid and clear. And it was kind of a bit of a self perpetuating feedback loop. I, was fine as far as I was concerned.
Did not have the confidence within myself because I had not done it. And so it
Exactly.
wasn't self-proving in the beginning. So it just took me a bit to get my legs underneath me.
Exactly. That's the magic. All we need to do is to create the space for it to actually come out as awkward. Once that's happened, then oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought. And then and especially if you just like no reaction to it, you just okay, wait and you know just let keep going. And then well, that was no big deal. And then they feel that they can do it, and it's okay, it's not a problem. And then you get the confidence, and it's not an issue. Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. I mean, that's the shift with Erica Jane and Donna. Both were very communicative, very expressive, and very articulate, except they didn't feel that they were. And then you add that. As soon as that little bit of and practice, it was really not even the confidence. The confidence comes from the practice, yes, but it was the practice, just the actual doing of the awkwardness. Once you get it out the way, it's like, it goes out the way. So very, very, very important for new clients. Now, when we are talking with Erica Jane and Donna, I mean, you know, confidence in general is not an issue with them. They're assertive people just in general. Now, with Erica Jane, maybe not in confrontations, but you know, she's not somebody who is not able to speak up for herself and take initiative and all of this. I mean, you know, she was. So, and the same thing with Donna. Donna can be very feisty, right, Donna? I use the word feisty as a euphemism. Donna's you know, she's more than capable of saying what she needs to say. But it's a different thing when you feel in a situation where you feel it's about your own personal stuff and you're on somebody else's time, etc., etc. Very important to create that space for it.
Yeah.
It's perception, not reality so much. Yeah, Donna?
Yes, I agree.
Very cool. Very cool.
And then with Elizabeth, my feelings were restricted, monotone voice, lack of voice expression, sad, not self-assured, overthinker, apprehensive, and health issues. The moreness was her sweetness, kindness, her curiosity, her openness, wants understanding, earnestness, diligence, attunement, overview, and abstract perspectives, and her awareness. The implications, she was testing Sill's reaction to the word teaching, building confidence, being right, but have an open mind. The other implication was also see the implication in her intent below. Her intent for doing this program is to
But Donna
better
sent a message to say goodbye. I was just saying goodbye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she just dropped off. Okay. Her art has not been consistent due to distraction.
Yeah.
My question would have been, what is not consistent in her life other than her art, and what are her life distractions? And her answer was her job, eating and working out. Journaling wasn't consistent, and everything is distracted because of her curiosity. So her intent for doing the program was to better understand impeccability and how to express herself in a clearer way. What are the deeper truths on a day-to-day basis? Her other intent was she has learned a lot about herself from others, profound insight and awareness with her awareness when she was unhealthy, to remember to be kind to self and forgive self. Self-judgment interferes with authenticity, wants better coping skills, wants clarity of intent, wants to understand awareness management. Impeccability brings up judgment for her, and wants to deal with her self-doubt.
Sorry if I was making a noise there. Sorry.
It's okay. And something Beena had mentioned in that thing was her long-term awareness has been a lifetime.
Yeah. Interesting.
So.
Yes, I mean that comes up for me in this. Your discernments and assessments are very insightful and very accurate. However, for me, all of those, I feel that they really I mean, I do the same thing myself. You know, look to see, understand, but I throw it all away and I set it aside as actually being kind of useless.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. And that's another thing I've learned to do is you can really put that in the judgment category, but we do
Right.
pick up things,
Yeah.
you know, but they all have to be thrown, you know, out on
Set
the
aside.
curb.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what we are doing is we are making this assessment, and then we are going to invite the client to prove us wrong.
You're right. Correct. Yeah. And again, you know, that was in that process. And I think that was the very first time I ever listened to her. So that was a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things was, you know, what am I feeling? What am I sensing from her? What is she saying? What are the implications? What are some questions that I could ask her? Again, without saying anything. You know, this is all, you know, going on in my head. I think that one time I was allowed, you said if I wanted to say anything, and it was about, you know,
So,
what is not consistent in her life other than her art.
Now here's the other point though, too. Like I said, you know, for me, I hear all of this, and then I really make that almost a conscious effort to say, I set it aside and be wrong. But it's based on also that 90% of the time, our read is accurate. But what we are reading is their perception of themselves, not the actual reality. So they believe the stuff, but it's always inevitably it's a false belief. So really, it's, you know, we are looking for them to prove to themselves how wrong our assessment is, even though our assessment is actually accurate. You see what I mean? It's accurate, but it's also incorrect, because this is not who they really are. It's never who they really are. They've never wanted to be that. So this idea and this belief is based on a bunch of misconceptions and misperceptions. So even though our assessment is accurate, it's also wrong. It's a bit of a conundrum, but it's just the way it is.
So is it better to say that whatever we feel or get from other person or people, it is what their awareness is about themselves, not
Right.
the reality.
And not what, Beena?
And not the reality.
Right,
Not their own
exactly.
reality.
And that's the problem. In both cases, the actual reality is their moreness.
So okay.
So we both wrong.
This is this is what our basic understanding, that everybody has moreness, and also that awareness is contagious. So what we are getting is their awareness of themselves.
Exactly.
Right in that moment. Okay.
Gotcha.
So now it makes sense. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we want to communicate really that our perception of them is inaccurate, because it's their perception of them, and their perception of themselves is inaccurate.
So I feel that rather than saying that inaccurate, we just if we emphasize more on that what we are getting is their perception of themselves and their awareness. Okay, the fact is different. So, but if we just keep, for me, it is again that if I say that, keep saying that, okay, my perception is wrong. So it's kind of like creating a doubt on my and breaking my self-trust.
Right. So we get very sophisticated here. Exactly, Beena. Exactly. You went where I was going to go. Is the next step. Because we can't sit there pushing out the vibe that, oh, you're wrong, or that I'm wrong, right? So we just listen and we understand, and we don't pay attention to whether it's right or wrong. We don't really care about our analysis of them, because it really doesn't matter. And if we focus on it, it's going to be a corrupting influence. So what we focus on is the replacement. We focus on the moreness. That's it. End of story.
Yeah.
That solves the whole problem, right, Beena?
Yes, and okay. So from now on, it is good, and we can feel good about ourselves, and we can build our self-trust. That what we are getting from them is their awareness right now, their understanding about themselves and perceptions. So we can make note of it. It is a valuable thing to understand that from where they are actually operating and projecting themselves.
Right.
Now, the reality, the intent is it needs to be. I'm just re-quoting you trying to make it easier for myself. So, okay, I'm repeating that. So now we can have our self-trust, content, like, okay, yes, this is what I got from them. Okay, but the basic intent is always everybody has moreness. And what moreness the intent for? Okay, so now we've got the data of their awareness right now, and we also have a set intent, so we can work it together. That's it.
Right. So
that's how we're gonna work.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So that analysis is just it indicates the path that they happen to be on, which gives us a little bit more information for pertinence and relevance purposes when it comes to replacement.
Yeah. 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 Again, I think taking out that right and wrong kind of a thing is really important. It's more about focusing on the replacement, you know, and letting it come to see if that is reality or not reality, you know, if this is the truth, but it's all about their moreness. Yeah, that's a great way to, because otherwise you think, Christ, I was wrong again. You know, even that word surprises is better than saying I was wrong.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And look at the task. Yeah, you can be more. Yeah, you can be what's needed. What's needed is to be truthful, to be open, to be forthcoming, to share in detail, to be open to learning, to figuring it out. This is what we're creating space for. Yeah, you can be what's needed as well as more, right? Two different statements, and they're very different in the implication. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can be what's needed. This is a very different thing, you know. I mean, look at Kyla. You know, it's kind of needed that she does her own finances and budgeting, but you know, it's needed in a context, but in another context, it's not needed because, well, people are doing it for her. What does she need to do it for?
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah.
She's quite well aware of the advantages of her situation.
Oh, yeah. And she's become almost too comfortable in those advantages. That's part of the problem.
A little bit self-congratulatory also, in a sense, you know.
Yeah.
She gets a bit of you know, takes a bit of pride in it almost internally, you know. So.
Yeah. Interesting. Next question is, what exactly are you specifically confident in when it comes to your interactions? For me, I really do trust that what I need to hear will come when I take myself out of the picture and just capital H here. I can make space for the other person on so many levels. I am working on being impeccable with my capital H hearing. And again, you know, being in a Zoom session and sitting in the background with a mute button on makes you really be able to just capital H here. The real test comes live interaction.
I have a tip for you in your next Zoom session.
Go ahead.
Put your mute button on.
Oh.
And put it on with your hand, not with your mouse. Okay? Or if you do it with the mouse, put your hand and sit on your hand.
Put the mute button on and then sit on my hand.
So that it's an effort to go and take it off when you need to say something.
Oh.
Right. So then you like too much effort, all right? And then you say, well, do I really need to? No. And then typically the client will just keep talking. I didn't need to come off mute. Just to get you a little bit of a habit to see that you can do it. Now, yes, it can be problematic because you do want them to hear that you're saying, I hear you, whatever, you know. So, but again, if they're in a deep story, put it on mute, you know. Or when the Hercules goes off, use the opportunity to put the mute on.
Yeah, that's what I try. That's the only time I usually try to do it, because I think I would take a bit of offense if I was telling a big story and somebody put me on mute. You know, like, really? You know,
You have to
it's
have some
almost,
excuse for it. Yeah, like
yeah,
Hercules. But yeah, you know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. See if I can do something
or do
similar.
something to say, look, I'm listening. I'm just, you know, um, I'm doing something noisy or whatever. You know, Hercules is a noise
Mhm.
or whatever. So
Yeah,
yeah, there has to be a legitimization for it. But you'll be surprised how effective it is when you do mute yourself. You know,
yeah.
just
Hmm. Yeah.
how it creates that space for you. You know.
Hmm. What do you do? Sorry. What do you base that particular confidence on, regardless of how confident you may feel in general? For me, my confidence is just based on my trust. How does your confidence of specific attributes of self affect your confidence during the entire interaction? For me, I really do trust that my confidence that I will have humility at the same time, despite my self attributes. My confidence is based on my realness of being, and there is no room for doubt when I am real. This ability to be deliberately real also allows me to make space for others. You know, again, I, I don't want to sound over or egoic, but that confidence, like what I do, like I'm not afraid. I just do it.
Good, good.
I don't get in, I really don't get in my head.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I should get in it a little bit more,
Uh,
but it'll get in my way. It'll get in my way to just,
yeah.
you know, and I think that's why capital H hearing is even more helpful. You know, I trust in what I'm doing and I feel okay. Like even to do a Zoom session for the first time, you know, there was maybe a nanosecond of, oh boy, this is really real now. You know what I mean? This is
Mm.
like going to the big leagues almost. And I could have said, oh, I'll wait till next time. That's not who I am. I dive, boom. I just dive into the task, you know.
And that's fantastic. And that is what I was saying earlier with communication. When we do, we learn. If you don't
Yeah.
do and you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But I've never been afraid, you know, to do it. But I know so many people who are just their hesitation of being n- not enough. I don't know what it is. I'm not enough either, but I'm okay with what I am so far, and
Right.
I'll use that to
They're like, if I
my,
can't do it perfectly first time, I can't do it.
yeah.
You're never going to learn that way. Never,
Absolutely.
never.
Absolutely. Yeah. 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 And again, I'm open to, again, the critique to improve. That's
Exactly,
learning to me. You know,
exactly.
people look at that constructive criticism or critiquing as, ooh, you're doing something wrong. You know
I love
what?
it. I love it. I want to hear exactly what I did wrong so I can learn. I
Yeah,
find it very
me
useful.
too. Me
Very
too.
powerful.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Very powerful. It's a thrill. It's a thrill because cool. This is where I can improve. You know, we don't see it always. So when somebody points it out to me, thank you, thank you. I see it now. Oh, it's
Hmm.
fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very magical. Very magical. But yeah,
Hmm.
so brilliant, Sue. Brilliant. Keep going. Keep making mistakes.
How screwing up, girly. Yeah, no, I get it. How does your confidence of specific attributes, oh, sorry, we just did that one. Share how when you made space and when you trusted and when you had confidence that was needed to come, did come.
Wow.
For me in the Zoom
Sorry,
session,
Sue. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry. Don't want to lose my point. When you go into the next session, and when you watch the past one, you know, some of the mindset there was on what am I doing, what do I need to do, and not just do in the normal sense of do, but how do I apply and all of this, but shift it right off of yourself onto the client. Pay attention to what they need in that moment to moment. What is it that they are needing right then and there, and see how that shifts your whole perception of what you need to do. You are there to give them, create, supply, make space for whatever. what they are needing in that moment. And we
Yeah,
don't
because
know.
that is in, I'll try that because that is in my head. Okay, I got this list of stuff to do this, and then I make my follow up. Like, again, there's that task manager that I am,
Right, throw
Uh,
that list away. Throw that list away.
yeah.
Yeah,
So shift to what they need moment to moment instead of me worrying about what I need to
right,
do or accomplish.
right.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to know what they need is to hear them.
Yeah.
You have no idea what they need in the moment. Doesn't matter what they told you beforehand. This is
Yeah.
the magic of the repeat backs and the takeaways. You ask what's going on, and they say, "Oh, no, nothing." Well, that's 90% of the time. That's not true, of course, right? But when they share the repeat backs, even though they've touched stuff, you can hear in what they emphasize, what they shift, and what maybe they elaborate a bit on. You can hear what's going on inside them then and there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And beside the repeat backs and takeaways are going to very clearly let you know where they're at. So
Mm-hmm.
then you can use that as the basis. So
And
that's the magic
again,
of
if I just hear that and their implications, I'll get out of my own goddamn head.
exactly.
Again, it's that performance mode, where even that I was in a big part of this course is performing, instead of just sit back, relax, change your voice a little, it'll come. And I know it comes. I know it comes. It happens to me all the time. But I just have to
Right.
get out of the way.
Yeah.
You know.
Make space for it. Make space for it. Make space for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we're busy with, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, the problem is many clients aren't all that forthcoming for a whole bunch of reasons. They're not always aware of what it is that they need to be sharing. This is
Mm-hmm.
where we come in with the prompting and the questions.
Right.
But we really want to prompt and then get a bit. Okay, sometimes they're just going to give you those a little more. Can you explain it? So keep making these vague, open-ended things that funnel them, that keep opening that funnel up more.
Yeah. So I usually say it like, so tell me more, or
There you
you know
go.
what I
There you
mean?
go.
What
There
else
you go.
is
Yeah. What
there?
else happened? What else happened?
Yeah.
What do you think about it? What do you exactly?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, it's a
Instead of
skill to
switching the
getting
whole
people
set.
to
Yeah.
open and talk. And again, you got to really be interested. Say, like, oh, what happened then? What did she say? What did stuff like that. It's like it'll be a girlfriend sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's about them and their story. It's their time. It's their time. It's their time. And that's I guess a good way to say making space is to really, really let them know it's their time to be more, to share, to be what's needed, to get it all out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And to be
And
awkward and uncomfortable. It's fine.
yeah. Yeah. And again, knowing if and when it is appropriate for you to share. And it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Now,
big.
that's the key thing. It's sharing according to their agenda, not yours.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm
Mm-hmm.
sharing according to my preset agenda, it's very seldom appropriate, right? When they get stuck on a point, and they really want to know something, and they don't know, and they're stuck, and they don't go any further, and they you can hear this is important to them. This is like this is what I'm battling with. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what makes me upset. Whatever, but I don't know what to do now. Now you share. Now they're all ears because this is what it's what's pertinent and relevant to them. What's in their heart. What's important. What's going on. Right. So you're not actually telling them something. You're sharing something which they can now use. Right. It doesn't matter how you tell your story. If you just share it as a story of Jack and Jill went up the hill. Okay. I get it now. This is and that's the point. It's the pertinence and relevance. So you don't even have to tell it. You just have to be more or less in the ballpark. They'll put it together because of that energy and pressure. And that's what you want. You want them to pull it together themselves. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's interesting that we're talking about this. There's another client that I have. Her name is Bonnie,
Mm.
and she comes with stuff, to talk about things that are
Oh,
she's trying to work through or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah. Oh,
usually about
good.
her mom and stuff. So in her sessions, it has become much more easy for me lately to, instead of again giving her a suggestion, is to ask her questions that let her obviously lead her into her own resolution. And I have no problem, but it's interesting how this Kyla thing, because it's a program of sorts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
I just noticed it. I'm like, I can do this. I'm starting to do it. But when I get on there with Kyla, something evidently shifting,
Yeah, yeah, because it's the implied intent of the program that you've got to share content. But don't worry about it. Just trust that it's going to be taken care of itself in the takeaways and the repeat backs. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I'll work on that. Okay. It's 11:15. Should I go a little more, or you guys?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay.
All right. So take the sessions with Kyla and wave impeccability. Just think of wave impeccability not as necessarily communicating a way of being, which yes it does, but shift it to say that the way the program is geared and structured, it is geared and structured in order to enable people to share and be their moreness and to open up and connect to what's going on and to ask questions, to reveal what they don't understand. So it is a mechanism that opens them up. Think of it that way. Yeah.
A mechanism to, WOI is
Yeah,
a
a
mechanism.
mechanism to open the can.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. That's really what it is. And the more they get into it, the more they start thinking about things. I mean, look at Kay and Erica. They are really good examples of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I didn't do. They just got inside it and started to think it through and figure it out. And the one thing led to the another, and then it applied to their life, and that's it. It's a stimulating mechanism. The content itself is somewhat irrelevant. Yes, it is. There is a value to it because of the nature of the content, because it's about self-evident sensibilities, and it's by implication it gets you to think for yourself and think it through to the end. We don't have to actually do anything, but just let it run. Just let it run. Just let it run. Just let the repeat back happen. Let the takeaways happen. The dictionary power. That's it. If you ask what were your dictionary, they're forced to justify why it's in there, which means when they put it in there, you got to think about it. So it's a self-correcting mechanism for opening that can, and you're starting a whole different modality, which is you're getting people to take charge of themselves, to take responsibility for themselves, to think for themselves, to think things through to the end for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So very different, very
Yeah, I
different. And
think.
this has been, sorry, one moment. Sorry. I was just
No.
saying, this has been the downside of you going quickly.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
that's the part
Yes.
that you didn't get out of it. So just so you know, so I said to you in the beginning, there's a big trade-off, but we have to be
Mm-hmm.
aware of it. So that's okay. We can go back to it. Not a problem. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think me going back through the program, I'm like, what is this program? It looks all different. It looks all new.
Exactly.
It's so funny. I'm like, ah!
Exactly. So when
Yeah.
Kyla shares her repeat backs, go through the slides. You have the slides on your computer. So you're
Mm-hmm.
going through it with her, as it were. You know,
Yeah, I could
that's
do
the big
that. I
difference.
was, yeah, because, yeah. But I have my other side notes that I want to make sure. I guess I shouldn't have to
Then
make
just,
notes.
well, that's why I have a big screen, so I can put one on one side, one on the other side. I can do both. So,
No, I have both. I can do both, but I would really need a third one for the one for the slide, one to see her, and
right.
then one for the notes that I made prior to the
Yeah,
session
yeah. You
to
might
make
just have
sure.
to flip between bring to the front, bring to the back, but yeah.
Yeah. But should I be focusing on like that I have an agenda? I mean, I hear what you're saying, and it makes the content is supposed to be stimulating, not a,
Yeah.
what's the word? Not a goal. and I'm
Correct.
looking
Correct.
at it as a goal, as a
Correct. Your
completion.
only agenda is, yeah, your only agenda is to hear her. That's it. That's it. That's it. How did she connect to this material? How was it relevant to it? Now, yes, the first session on the intents, this is important because now you have a basis of what's important to them. Now you can hear it through the lens of what's important to them, because otherwise we have no idea. We just assume what's important. Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think I have to get that content that's in there needs to stimulate her. It's not about
yeah,
completing a task.
no.
You know,
It's not about memorizing or knowledge stuff. Don't worry about it. It will come of its own accord. It will come of its own accord. So yeah. It's the process that does it, not the content.
process.
It's the process. It's the process. That's why Wave Impeccability is not set up to be done without the Zoom sessions.
Yeah.
It's not set up at all. You know, somebody could say, "Oh, you know what? I can't afford your course, but you know what? I'll give you 1,000, and you don't have to do the Zoom sessions." No,
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to be. Yes, it might have some value, but not remotely close. You know, I mean, it's not like 1/5 of the value or something. I don't even know if it will be all that value. I don't personally like this idea of somebody doing it without some form of feedback. They could get the whole complete wrong idea of it, which happens. So yeah, I don't trust that at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, so the content is not the issue; it's the process.
Process.
And I
That's
mean, this was going into it. Yes, there are concepts in there which are okay. You know, the universe. It's all about awareness, or this concept of self-proof, the idea of leveraging your self-conception, the idea of leverage. But they are built into it just subtly, just by design. They come of their own accord, even though the slides might not say it. It's there by implication. So the whole thing is really leveraged to implication in the bigger picture. So yeah. It's a process. It's a process. Absolutely. Yeah. Not the content.
yeah. I think that's the stuff we've been talking about is really helpful to get me out of that, you know, goal content.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you know,
Objective.
again, I'm not giving her money's worth. I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
if I just sat here and listened to her, right, she's going to pay me for that. Well, I guess she is. I guess she is.
But look. The whole thing is about confidence for her, right?
Yeah.
So the more practice she gets to express herself, where you are listening, isn't this the entirety of what she needs to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's really it, you know. And then once she's starting to feel confident about her ability to actually express herself, her ability to get heard, I mean, to feel heard is really important, but I never put it in there really. To get heard is just as important, right? If once you get to where you feel that, hey, when I express myself, I get heard, uh, now we've achieved something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fantastic achievement. So this is a big deal. Once that's been established, then what's next? You mean you're not doing your own finances? Oh, I don't have to say do your own finances. You mean you're not doing your own? Oh, well. By implication, it's like, oh, well, you know, if she doesn't want to do her own finances, what does that say about you? Once you have the confidence and you feel you get heard and you're starting to feel I'm in charge of me, how do I say,
Not.
well, you do it for me? It just goes against your whole self-concept. The replacement takes care. I'm independent. I'm a spirit warrior, but I'm getting my mother to do my finances for me. Oh, this doesn't come. You see, now you leverage the self-honesty, the integrity, and the desire not to be a hypocrite and a phony. So we don't have to teach them anything. They'll do it themselves. You know,
Mm,
don't have to do
mm,
anything. Get the conception to start with and let it work backwards. Once you start feeling and actually understanding and conceiving of yourself as being independent, as being somebody in charge of yourself, as being somebody who can learn, who does apply, who does make an effort, whatever you need to do, you're going to just figure it out for yourself.
mhm. Yeah, that's what I know. Confidence is a big issue. That's why I thought even when she did that with that boy and she texted him, but that's what that group does.
Yeah.
But I thought that was huge for her to just, instead of just like feeling awkward for the rest of her work life at that job, that she was able to confront him, you
Right.
know.
But by implication, if you are sharing, oh, that's huge for you, there's an implication to that. As opposed to, oh, well, duh, you're a spirit warrior. Oh, it's no biggie.
Mm-hmm.
See the implication in the psychology.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be careful. Encouragement can be counterproductive. You have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Does it make sense what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, the emphasis, I mean,
The emphasis,
there's
exactly.
this appropriate emphasis, you know, and again, I think in her case, I hope I didn't overdo it in that particular situation, but for her, that encouragement, that emphasis, that yes, that was right, it'll maybe help catapult her to do something else.
I mean, if
So
we
I
go
don't know if
make that
that's
space,
wrong.
yeah, but by just very subtle, cool, you know, it's like, but it's kind of normal and natural. Then they think about it a little bit, and they might have been looking for that approval, and then when you don't, and you just like kind of, well, it's like a duh thing, and then they think about it, say, oh, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more, and this is not where I get the approval from, you see, and so it's very subtle. So we have to be very careful with that stuff. I'm just saying, just be very careful of the implications of approval and encouragement, because we can create a conception, like, you know, are you a kid or you're an adult here? You know, it's like, you mean you're not doing it? Okay, I get it. It's convenient for your mom to do your stuff for you. Well, all right, good for you if you can get away with it. But at some point, likely you're gonna have to do it for yourself. You know, they sort of have that realization that this is a different game over here, you know, and I can't kind of play the same games that I have been playing, and you know, and the belief that it is a big deal sometimes gets people not to do things. So if you give a big encouragement, oh, well done, you did your own finances. Oh, it was a big deal. So now the next thing comes along, it's also a big deal. But we're like, well, it's just something that everybody does. It's like going to the bathroom. You know, when you're a little kiddie, people make a big fuss about when you get toilet trained. When really it's sort of counterproductive. You teach them that everything is a big deal when it's just like, everybody does it. You know.
So when I follow up, I mean, I was going to ask her this week, you know, about, you know, what has she done as far as her independence goes in the money arena? You know, if she says, "Oh, we did this, we did that," I just play it off as, "Oh, good,
Yeah.
excellent."
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean,
Not,
you since you started it, you if you can avoid even following up, just let it be. Let it come naturally of its own accord. Yeah.
well, then
Let's see
how
where
do
it
I
comes
know
from.
what to? I mean, I think follow up, and you and I talked about it, is so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
We don't,
Well, the
you know,
tasks that she thought were important, to me, the whole finances thing wasn't much of an issue for her,
but
was it?
that's what she said she wanted.
She wanted the finances specifically, or she wants independence?
Independence in relationship to money,
Ah,
to finances. No, she wants to know how to be independent with her money, with her
okay.
spending. That
Then
was an
ask her about that question. How is your independence when it comes to money? How is that progressing?
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
rather than a specific task, then she can tell you what she's doing about it or not. And then if
Mhm.
she says, well, and I think say, okay, you know, what is it that you specifically feel you want to do about it? You know, what do you want to practice? What do you want to apply? How do you see you going about it? You know, then now you're starting, because some people have ideas, but they kind of completely lost as to how to do it. But she needs to come up with some ideas. Yeah.
Well, she did. She
Yeah.
said her boyfriend can be a source for her,
Yeah.
her mother, she can speak to her. You know, again, I think people need sometimes a little feedback from other people, but so she knew where she could go, that she had choices to help her. Like you said, even the freaking internet. You know, she really doesn't
I
need
would
any.
recommend she does this without the mother and the boyfriend. I gotta tell you,
Yeah,
especially with
yeah.
money. She's now by default entangling them into her finances, and it's not really going to help her. So I would say yes, ask questions specifically of stuff you need to know. But at the end of the day, when it actually comes to doing your own stuff, do this on your own. Because
Yeah,
if they're going to be helping you with it, they're involved with
yeah,
it, and you're never going to have that. And
yeah.
particularly with finances, this is important. This is
Yeah,
important.
maybe I wasn't clear there, you know, about they can get her started or give her the basics
Yeah.
of what she claims she doesn't know, then it's hers.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
maybe I need,
once you've started on finances, it's hard to get people, not because they know what your situation is, what's going on. So no, go and work it out on your own, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, just look at it now. So think of it from a different point of view. Take this out of the context of finances and say, what is it that you actually want to do? Look at your objective and say what's appropriate. In what context? What do you want to do? What's appropriate?
Hmm.
Get them to and ask that question. What exactly is it that you want? What is the context? What's your goal? And therefore, what would be appropriate to do this? And say, well, I need to have independence with my finances. What does that mean exactly? It means I'm going to be the one deciding how to spend my money. What does that mean
Hmm.
exactly? Does that mean you need to be responsible for your money or somebody else? You see my point here? When you really get down to it, well, it's me deciding how I'm going to spend my money and being responsible. Well, that's very simple. You figure out what you need to spend, need to get going, and the rest is free to spend however you want to. It's not all that much to it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
When you get down to it, it's making a list of your needs. You pay those first. You pay your rent. You pay your utilities, whatever, your loans, and for the rest you get to spend. That's it, or invest, save.
Yeah.
It's not a complicated thing really when you think it through. Yeah.
Hmm. True, true. And I did mention, I thought I'm going to wiggle in there with the finances like we had
Wow.
talked about. Did you hear that part about
I'm
her
not sure.
paying?
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
about
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
her
Yeah. But
learning.
you asked her how much do you get to spend for yourself, but you asked another question right after it, and she never answered that particular one. And I'm like, dang it, Sue! I wanted to hear that answer.
Yeah,
I really wanted to know that answer, but you asked another question right away, and she never answered that particular one. So we don't know what's available for her to spend.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I would guess at the minimum she's getting 36 a year. I can't see her getting less than that.
hmm,
Out of college, doing a high tech job like this, I'd be surprised if they're paying less than 36 a year. So if she's giving 500 to 1,000 for the loan, it still leaves her 2,000 to spend.
hmm.
So yes, they're taking some of it out for the 401k and all of that. Still though, her disposable income after that, she's got to have at least 500 to 1,000, which
Yeah,
she's not spending on anything right now. So
yeah.
how
Healthcare and
long has she been working?
since graduation, which would have been this year, so
uh
May.
so 2-3 months then.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. She got a job right,
three
right
four
out of
months okay.
right
Yeah,
school.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
And to get a
yeah,
job right out of it too,
yeah,
that says
yeah,
something. Not everybody
yeah,
does. So when they grabbing you right out of it just because they think you're worth having. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and she was very thrilled. She knew how many of her friends don't have jobs yet, let alone in their field,
yeah,
So,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but she also, what were you just saying? Oh, it was about the money. And I said,
Disposable.
part of your independence. As I was trying to say, do you make good money? I said, do you work full time? Those were my questions to see if she would. Some people are very free to say, yeah, I make $25 an hour. I didn't want to say, how much do you make?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? To try to kind of hone in there a little bit and see. But
yeah.
I said, another way you could choose to be independent was even this stuff here, these sessions and stuff, you pay for them once in a while instead of your mother paying for them. You
Yeah.
know,
What did she say to that? I didn't hear you say that too.
I have to listen back. I don't know
Okay.
what she,
What
how
is the
she,
job she does?
she is a data, it's a specific here. Wait, she works for Eurofins, EUROFINS. I was going to look up what their salary stuff is actually at one
Yeah,
point.
that's what I want to look up now.
Yeah.
Eurofins.
Eurofins, and her actual position is, I'll tell you in a second. Wait a minute, impeccability. Hold on there, Kyla. Hmm.
Search your notes for data.
Yeah.
Because I remember it was data something.
Data. Yeah. Yeah. Let me look here.
Data analysis.
Find data. Where's those notes? Oh, here. Exalted pre-session notes. Let me look in this one for
Process development engineer.
Here it is. At Eurofin's laboratory, which is an environmental facility for biopharma, she is a data reviewer who makes sure that the analysts are following protocol. So she's not an analyst. She makes sure that they're doing their job.
Okay.
She's
They
data
call him a
reviewer.
data reviewer scientist.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Interview, smart recruiters, data. Okay, so I had another page here, Glassdoor, and they give all research and science. And they actually give all the positions, but they don't give me a search. I'll find it in a minute. So, salaries, locations, search, salaries, location. I want to search for the particular thing, but I'm going to have to go through it all. So
I have data review salary. I just looked that up. I Googled data review scientist salary.
yeah.
It's saying this is at Glassdoor.
Yeah, that's the Glassdoor.
113,000. An Accenture, 37,000 a year. Oh, that must be the company. Let me put that Eurofins in there and just see.
And I got Eurofin scientific data review specialist interview questions.
Here it is. The estimated based on Eurofin scientific data review specialist salary reported by employees is based on statistical method, $38,550. So
that
you're
would
right.
be my guess, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not that tapped into the salary market, but at least I know what the median is, and the median is somewhere up there in the 50s, 57,000. So you would think that a qualified graduate would be somewhere between, minimum wage and the median, so.
Yeah. So they're saying it ranges for that position, 33,000 to 60,000.
Exactly. That's what I would figure,
So it's for a senior one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Interesting. Yeah. So again, what else is she, spending her money on? And again, who knows how much she has to pay of her health care.
Right. How much is that? She did say they take a lot out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And she has a 401k, so you're probably right. There's probably only about 500 to 1,000 left of disposable income for her,
Which is still, significant. Who knows what she spends money on, though. People spend money like crazy on all sorts of stuff. Yeah. So,
yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, no, I lost this over here.
Yeah.
I
mean, they saying the research scientist 38 to 83, senior chemist 45 to 81, chemist, but she's a research scientist, so that's the range, 38 to 83. So I'm looking at the minimum ranges here, and that's in that range. So yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I would be surprised if somebody coming out of varsity, if they offered you a job for less than that,
Yeah.
I just, it doesn't make any sense, so.
Yeah. Let me see
Yeah.
here. I lost my place. Oh boy. Hold on.
I mean, you're working at, any, like say 24K somewhere, anything less than 30K, you're not that far from, minimum wage, yeah? Or at least,
Exactly.
15 an hour
Exactly.
kind of a thing, so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very interesting, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. I lost my place here. Hold on.
They don't give us space to search here that I can see. Maybe, 'cause I'm just scrolling through it to find data reviewer. It's interesting. They do data analyst, data scientist, data engineer, senior, and then senior. But they don't say data reviewer. I would assume data analysis is about the closest. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's different to data entry. That's a minimum wage
Oh
job.
yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
But this is analysis, which is also to review is not the same as to analyze. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and she made a point to say my mother always gets this wrong. My mother calls me a data analyst. She said I'm not an analyst.
No, no. I
You
mean,
know.
to review is to pretty much make sure people didn't make mistakes
Mhm.
in what they did, right?
Right. Right. And then she said, when she goes, it's like uber focused. She wears those special blue glasses
Yeah,
because she's on the computer and it's so detailed. And that's when she,
yeah.
takes her uh what's it called? Not Ativan, Adderall for focus.
Oh, wow.
She
So she takes some kind of a drug to stay focused for a job?
mhm,
Wow, wow.
mhm.
That's not really good.
No, no.
Yeah.
Um,
And here's the thing, I mean, how much does Eurofins pay? The average salary ranges from 33. So that's their starting salaries. They don't really, so even if she's making their lowest, it's in that ballpark. So
mhm.
which means that she can easily afford this, not a problem. Staying at home. She was paying rent, all
Sure.
right, different deal, so
Yeah.
yeah. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if she moves out with the boyfriend, I mean, she would never be able to afford that on her own. But but it's whether he gets a job in his field. He's finishing his last year of college.
Yeah,
So he's not out yet. She's a year
yeah.
older than him.
I mean,
Yeah.
they say popular jobs, a receiver. And this is now Eurofins salaries. Eurofins must be a big company.
Yeah.
So they say, for receiver, 28.51. Oh no, sorry, a receiver was $18. Senior scientist, 28 an hour. Laboratory technician, which is what she would be likely, 14.15. Inspector, 13.61. That's shipping and receiving clerk is 15 an hour. And
Wow.
yeah, so you'd think that, let's see, there's more. This is now reported stuff. Laboratory assistants, 12.75 an hour. So,
Hmm.
so what is that? What are they looking at? A 40-hour week? So what does that work out to?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see.
It's 4.4, right? Time for
Mhm.
4.4 weeks. Is that it?
Yeah.
4.3.
Yeah. Bill always uses 4.4.
Okay. Because she did say she's paid hourly.
Yeah, she's not salaried. She's hourly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and they saying, for laboratory assistant, 12.75. So, and this is reported salaries. 4 salaries
It's
reported.
only
So,
about 15-ish, high 15 an hour, if that, you know.
but I mean, what is they say specifically 12.75 an hour? What does that come out? Oh, so 36 comes out to 15ish.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So then maybe she's at the 33 then.
1275 times 4.4 equals times 12.
Oh no, you have to take it times. Sorry, your calculation is going to be a bit off there. It's 4.4 weeks, so you have to take the day, which is 1275 times what, 8 hours, or
Yeah.
40 hours. I just take it as the week rather. So okay, let's see, 12.75 times 40 hours for the week, right? And then
Mhm.
times 4.4, yeah, that will give you the month, 22.
2244.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So could be that she's less than what we figure. I mean, I'd be surprised if it's that low. I really would, but
She's only 27,000, a little shy of 27,000 a year. If she's at 1275.
right.
If
Which,
she's at
27 a year, okay, I can get that still. That's fair enough.
hmm Yeah.
36 would be my guess, but on the low end of that, 27 for sure. Yeah, yeah.
hmm
Still, if she's doing, $2,000 a month and she's giving away or paying back 500 to 1,000, she said it varies. That still leaves her with, 1,500
hmm
plus,
Yeah.
so roughly. So, if she's in that 700 average, it still leaves her with 1,500 disposable income, right?
hmm
Yeah. Now, that's now, okay, taxes and all, she's not going to net that, right?
That's the other thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
So we're taking this as a gross. So, I don't know what you take off that for the net and all the deductions, but, even if you take 10% off, that's 2,000, take 20, you're left with 18,
Usually about
take
30 in
25,
taxes, or at least 30
30% off
off.
of that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, 30% of that,
$2,000 off of that. Now she's low
right,
18,
right.
19,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's still minus the 500 plus or minus, still leaves her with that 1,000 disposable income every month.
But that's not calculating what she's putting into the 401k and what her
Right.
medical.
Well, you figure that comes from the deductions, no? Because
Mm,
they doing the 401k, if I understood it, not her.
hmm
They were automatically doing this on her behalf,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they paying for medical and all this. So,
But not 100%.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, if she has to match and all this, but sometimes they do. They just they do it on her
I mean,
behalf.
Bill still pays 100% of his employee. I'd call him. I say, you're a dinosaur. Nobody does that. 20 some years ago at
Yeah.
Harvell, which was, they were probably 75 million at the time. And with 100 employees, we had to start to pay 25% of that. I mean, right now, Bill and I, each of us, I think it's 15 or 1,800 per person a month. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Still, the bottom line is what I'm saying is that, if you don't pay rent, those salaries are geared and designed for people who pay rent. So
Correct.
if you take the amount that she's paying for the loan as rent, she's still got disposable income.
Right.
She has to have the salaries geared and designed that way. So
Yeah.
what is she doing with that disposable income is my point.
Sure.
She's not paying for food or anything like that. She's taken care of. So she's got it all to spend on herself, So, this leaves her with definitely, finances available for doing sessions.
Yeah, there was an interesting, I don't know if you heard this part about her friend who has a mother who's the alcoholic. Did you hear that part?
Uh-uh.
She's the friend who has her on a super high pedestal. Oh, you're my best friend. It's all her stuff is what you hear implied is how conditional that this friend is, keeps her up there in this real high, like, status,
Mm.
Which is becoming a little problematic, I think, for her, because she can't hold how high of regard that this girl is giving her. But in the same breath, there's this girl, her mother just was put in a rehab center.
A different
And
girl.
no, the same friend. The father is very hard on her, and the mother just came out of a rehab situation because of alcoholism and substance abuse as well. And she's got, no, sorry, not substance. She has mental issues as well. in addition to the alcoholism. So when she came home, the girl was trying to do everything while the mother was gone, the cooking, the cleaning, taking care of the father, having a meal on a table at such and such a time like the mother did, and so forth. Now the mother comes home and she makes a meal that they're, I guess, usually have a lot. I'm just going to say it isn't it, but just say macaroni and cheese. And she makes this macaroni and cheese, and the mother said, "Oh, this is you didn't do this right. Get rid of it. Do it again." So the girl doesn't want to stay there anymore. So of course she talked to Kyla, and then Kyla talked to her mom. They want to take this girl in. I'm like,
oh, wow.
but see, this is the mother. I mean, the mother rescues animals all the time. And I said, you guys better really think hard about what you're really doing here, because she said, my friend can be very inconsiderate and not courteous. And now she's going to be at my house. I said, well, you better think all this stuff through to the end to make sure this is what you want to expose yourself
You're
to.
struggling to take care of yourself, and now you want to be responsible for other people. It's like, come on, seriously.
Exactly. And again, I think this is, again, the mother who is disconnected from her own daughter. I think this is her crazy way of feeling connected to animals by rescuing them, rescuing other kids, and letting them live there. I said, wow. I said, think this one through. Kyla's feeling,
inappropriate application of goodness.
Yeah, and that's how we said, sometimes we got on the subject of inappropriate and appropriate helping. That you could be doing somebody more damage than good. So really think this out.
All right, so something that I did notice, it's pretty common. Most of the disconnect between people, where people are, and between their mourners is as a result of misbeliefs. Right? Should and supposed to and what you just think is cool and all of the stuff. The bottom line is just inappropriate beliefs and misbeliefs. So if you just keep that in mind with your questions, just keep asking her, based on what, based on what, based on what. That's it. Whatever she's doing, find out what the root belief is, and then ask her, based on what is this belief based on. That I think will resolve many issues when she figures out what her beliefs are based on. She's going to get to that point. Somebody just said so or whatever. I don't know. And then they realize it's just not based on anything.
Yeah. Nothing concrete, at least. Yeah.
It's just empty and hollow, and that's almost inevitably the problem, So.
Okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing how potent that is.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Yeah. There's just a couple more questions, and then we'll stop there, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Share how, when you made space and when you trusted and you had confidence of what, we just did that one, of what came. Yeah. Share how you waited and how you trusted and shared what then did come. Detail what came and how it came and why. The same thing happened as stated above when I made that space and waited. She was not pushed in any way. My patience and waiting allowed her to open up in her own time. And that was in reference to Elizabeth. But I was just sitting back and waiting, not really engaged in the interaction. So that's probably not a really fair answer to that. But again, I can hear myself not waiting enough with Kyla. So that I just have to pay attention to. But I know that I do wait and ask good questions, like, again, with some other people. Again, they're only here for an hour plus, but it's amazing how I'm not.
Early days. That's what Beena was trying so hard to communicate.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know, starting off perfect, that's
Nah, it's not
not
real.
ideal.
It's not real.
Doesn't
Not
get
real.
us anywhere really. You don't
No.
learn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You almost hope that there's not perfection, because that's actually a better sign.
yeah,
You know.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Because then you won't learn.
that's right. Explain how confidence
Exactly.
and humility can coexist and why it's essential that they do. For me, confidence and humility coexist and they balance each other through our very being with force of awareness and our emphasized appreciation and our realness of being.
Hmm.
Uh, do you doubt your realness? If so, why? If not, how does this add to your confidence, and how do both make space? For me, I do not doubt my realness. My awareness of my confidence, my realness, and my trust are all internal components for creating spaces that we make interactions for. We
Listening, I'm
use
listening.
we use all of ourselves in our being to make space. Use all of ourselves in our being to make space.
Yeah, it's a very a total thing. You know, all of ourself is used. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I have all capitalized. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll start there. Stop there, and pick this up on Wednesday. And Wednesday I'll be here at 8. And thank you very much for that.
Oh, pleasure. Come
Um,
earlier too if you want. That's no problem.
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. Perfect.
yeah. I mean,
Perfect.
we're on earlier, so yeah, not an
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah. So I'm going to rewrite my notes here from today, and I'm going to see if I have time to listen to.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. You're gonna enjoy that. You'll see. That's gonna be fun.
All right.
That's gonna be a lot of. Let me come say goodbye. That's gonna be
Yeah.
huge. You know that that watching the videos, you're gonna be astonished at how much value you get out of it. That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah.
cool. So
Yeah. No, and it's one of those things where I'm ready to. There was not really this opportunity to do. Yes, I'm doing Way of Impeccability, but there's no way to rewatch it because I'm doing people in person. Uh,
so
so this.
that's the value of it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's huge. It's, I tell people, it's like, hey, I do this for me. You know, you get to watch it too. That's a bonus for you. But whether you watch it or not, I'm doing it anyway. You know, it's bonus for
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Cool.
massive
All
learning.
right. And by the way, I love your outfit, the white pants and the shirt with the
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm
I
styling over here. Yes, I'm styling over
love
here.
it.
I
Love
don't
it.
feel very with it, you know. But like I say, I'm not feeling down, but I'm not feeling my usual energy, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, you wouldn't know it by your outfit.
oh, thank you, thank you. I was telling Beena, you know, I can be sick as a dog and you wouldn't know it. So I can really bring my energy up and not be sick, you know. So I have that ability. I can be like super down and I know how to pull my energy up if I need to. And that's why I didn't do on the weekend and Thursday and Friday. I could have if I really had to. I know I can do it, but I know I'm going to pay the price for it too.
Right.
Yeah,
That's right.
because you know
Yeah.
you
It's not
you're
worth it.
feeling that energy. You've got I can go on like no nothing, and I can find something, but I pay for it later. You know, so yeah,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so not
Yeah.
good. So I'm being good. I'm trying to be good. I'm trying to be good. So
Good. Good.
yeah,
Glad to
yeah.
hear
Ina's
it.
been reading me a story, which is very nice. So very
Oh,
grateful.
very
You know.
cool. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Very
Very
cool.
nice, very nice, very
All
nice.
right.
All right, brilliant. See you on Wednesday.
Okay.
Again, too, you know, if you on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, you know, like Donna came now, you know, always, it's nice. I like it when, it's not something I make available to everybody, but especially if you've graduated already, you know, and then you come back into it's valuable for everybody, you know.
Is
So
Donna doing the hearing and helping right now? Is she doing the
she's on
morning?
PSP. She's doing PSP.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Oh, and by the way, before I leave, PSP made me think I had Chelsea here on a private appointment.
Right.
And I asked her, I had given her options that I thought that PSP would be a great program for her and how she could do it, but also Way of Impeccability. So I specifically at the end of the session said, what do you think? about those programs. Would you be
Ah.
interested? And she
What
said
did she
yes.
say?
She said
Wow.
yes, and I told her
Wow.
$6,300.
Wow.
I put
Wow.
that price right out front.
Wow. Good.
But
Good.
she said the only thing is she has to wait. With the COVID thing, they had to restructure their whole salon, and her goal is to get less active in doing facials and all the esthetician work, waxings and so forth, so that she has her time freed up.
Right.
Both
Oh, good.
her and her the other co-owner. Otherwise, she can't fit it in. She's
Time.
you know
Yeah.
7
Oh,
days a
good.
week.
But at least she is in that process of restructuring things, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Interesting.
So hopefully she and I said to her that her co-owner Pat would also benefit from this program.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
who has
Cool,
been
cool.
asking my friends that I've referred down there, what's this new program that Sue's doing, or that she's learning or something.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So the buzz is getting out there.
Buzz
so.
is out. Very good. Very good.
Buzz is out.
Very good.
All right.
Yeah. Sooner or later, something's gonna come, and then it'll be very exciting. So.
That's right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's all very cool. It's all very cool. Love it.
Okie dokie. Have a good day. Keep getting well.
You too, Sue. You too.
All right.
You too.
Thanks.
All right. See you
Bye-bye.
soon. See you soon. See you soon. See you soon. Bye bye.